Broski. Fascinating. You're muted, Frank.
He's like, that one new song, not that one new song. Oh, you should know, this is the man who chose the theme song of our podcast.
That's right.
And every time, if he's awake and it comes and it comes on, he must come and investigate.
You're very welcome, Rafi. You don't know how long it took me to put that editing together, the video and stuff.
Yeah. It was a good Greg did a great job. He really did a great job on that.
I had to graft like from a bunch of different videos and clips and stuff. I would have liked to put our heads on I would have liked to put our heads on I wanted to put our heads on the what's his name? No, what are the characters' names in Miami Vice?
Crockett and Tubbs.
Crockett and Tubbs, yeah. But I didn't get to do that. And Rafi's clapping with a lot of mud on his hands and
it's paint, non-toxic.
Paint. Every time somebody says paint, I think of can I show you what I think of? Here.
He said bye.
I think of the following.
Hold on, Greg.
Yes.
Let's try this again.
Yes.
Okay, say bye. Say
bye.
Wait.
Bye.
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 Bye, baby. Okay.
Bye. He's like he looks like the guy who gets the hook on stage, you know.
His mother is the stage staff.
Yeah, I was gonna say, get him the hook. Grab onto the hook, okay.
Exit stage right.
Yes. I wanna show you what I think of when I hear the word paint. I don't know if it's gonna be in this clip, but let's see. Even though I don't know why I'm sharing his content because he's a
Yeah.
Oh man. I'm gonna let out a secret about Indian people for all the people here or all the people watching, wherever you are. If you're not Indian, this is a message to you on behalf of all Indian people. Hope my brown people don't get upset that I'm letting out our secret. But just so you guys know, Indian people are fully aware of what their accent sounds like. We don't actually need you. We know exactly what it sounds like. We know it's not the coolest accent in the world, you know? You're never going to see two Indian guys in a club standing around going, hey, man, aren't we cool? Don't we sound really hip? We are going to meet all the bitches tonight. I'm pimping. You know, it's not going to happen, you know? We know what it sounds like, you know? And don't think for 1 minute that we don't know that you're mocking us when we're not around. It's an accent. We're not deaf. Don't think when we walk into Home Depot and go, hello, I'm looking for paint.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, it's right down that aisle over there, sir.
Wait, hello.
Hey, Jim, did you hear that guy? He's looking for paint.
Paint.
Paint. Paint.
Hey,
Hey, let's go have a cigarette and talk like this for half an hour. We know you're doing it, you bastards. But Indian people know what their accent's good for and what it's not good for. We know its limitations.
Anyway, I just wanted to hear paint and with an Indian accent. Paint.
I wonder what this. I was gonna stop myself. I was gonna say I wonder what this dipshit is gonna say now with Pakistan versus India.
Oh, I don't know what he's gonna say, but can I play for the folks at home that clip of the two guys in London?
Yes. Bloody
folks, for some of you, yeah.
Hold on, Rafi's about to go.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, let's hold off on that. I just wanted to say for all you usually ladies who get upset at the language,
dude. Seriously, I regret that C-3PO from Star Wars was not an Indian guy. You have to, because it's brilliant. You have to see this.
Yeah.
If you look on YouTube, just really quick, it's right in the beginning. It's a song called "It's Not the Future." It's like these like we've played it before. It's like these joke songs. Mm-hmm. It's called bad lip reading. It's not the future.
Yeah.
And they have an Indian C-3PO. You have to see this.
Is it not the extended lyric video? This one?
It doesn't matter. Just because it's only in the first couple of seconds anyway. You could play the whole song if you want, but it's in the first. Mm-hmm. It starts off right away.
Yeah. Let's see.
Time that I walk away. So I turn around to walk away, but then I look back. Sadly, they make me turn and walk away again. Even though it looks like it's the future, it's really a long, long time ago when there were nights and they got into fights using sabers of light. Even though some things look so familiar, they're not really on Earth. Yeah, it's a galaxy far, far away. Alien DNA walking around every day. No one knows it. Well, I messed up. Yeah, I made a mistake. I can't sleep. Have to find your place soon. My tailor's awesome. All the people looking. Rolling like I'm platinum.
Dude, you know what I think?
That Indian C-3PO was brilliant.
Yeah. Well, can I play for the folks at home? These guys in London.
He's still here. She's cleaning the paint off of him. Soon, bro. Soon.
Okay. Can I just say I think that all of these, like Star Wars, is based on a true story. When I mean true story, I'm not even talking about the whole Torah aspect. I'm talking about literally a true story.
That is the Torah aspect.
No, it is, but you and I actually have spoken about this whole thing about the eras, the
Shemitot, the cycles.
The cycles. So I feel like that galaxy existed in a previous Shemitah.
I'll take you one further. This could have been even in the relatively not so distant past of this Shemitah.
Yeah.
It could have been that could have been the pre-flood civilization.
Yeah.
It talks about from the Jewish sources, from Torah sources, it doesn't say that the earth was flooded. It was the whole creation
Yeah.
was readjusted.
Yeah.
It wasn't completely destroyed, but it was massively readjusted. It talks
Yeah.
about the stars being readjusted.
Yeah.
Like the cosmos itself was adjusted by God.
Yeah. And for whatever reason it was
We're not playing the song anymore. He's like, when I see it. Hey, can you play that clip that you found? Obi-Wan has PTSD.
Oh yeah.
We'll play it's not long, but it's worth it. I want to show the folks at home.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then we'll talk about it for a moment.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, me. This is actually really, really good. I enjoyed it.
Ben Kenobi? Boy, am I glad to see you.
The Junlan wastes are not to be traveled lightly. Tell me, young Luke, what brings you out this far?
Oh, this little droid. I think he's searching for his former master, but I've never seen such devotion in a droid before. He claims to be the property of an Obi-Wan Kenobi. Is he a relative of yours? Do you know who he's talking about?
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Obi-Wan. Now that's a name I've not heard in a long time. A long time.
I think my uncle knows him. He said he was dead.
Oh, he's not dead. Not yet.
Well, you know him.
Well, of course I know him. He's me. I haven't gone by the name of Obi-Wan since before you were born.
Well, then the droid does belong to you.
Don't seem to remember ever owning a droid. Very interesting. I think we better get indoors.
No, my father didn't fight in the wars. He was a navigator on a spice freighter.
That's what your uncle told you. He didn't hold with your father's ideals, thought he should have stayed here and not gotten involved.
You fought in the Clone Wars?
Yes. I was once a Jedi Knight, the same as your father.
I wish I'd known him.
He was the best star pilot in the galaxy. And a cunning warrior. And he was a good friend. Which reminds me, I have something here for you. Your father wanted you to have this when you were old enough.
What is it?
Your father's lightsaber. For over 1,000 generations, the Jedi Knights were the guardians of peace and justice in the old Republic. Before the dark times. Before the Empire.
How did my father die?
A young Jedi named Darth Vader, who was a pupil of mine until he turned to evil. Helped the Empire hunt down and destroy the Jedi Knights. Vader was seduced by the dark side of the Force. Now the Jedi are all but extinct.
So that 5-minute clip evoked more emotion in me than every single Star Wars movies after Return of the Jedi. Everything. There's not if you squeezed
Yeah.
every bit of any kind of real human emotion, right, evoked in all of those other movies, right? You couldn't get. It's like a speck of dust compared to this. Okay,
Yeah.
so whoever did this is very, very, very talented, and
Yeah.
it's a brilliant idea because that's all those other movies are good for.
Yeah.
Just as background,
Correct.
like
Correct.
flashes.
I sometimes think about, our friend Eric. He's very much into all of the offshoots of this whole franchise, and he's very into, like, they came out with some of the series, and they came out with some other movies, or they're gonna come out with other movies, covering, other characters or other backstories or whatever it is. And, you know, first of all that stuff is CGI. In this generation, it's all CGI'd out, which is as we know is awful. Like we saw the movies, the ones that were made in the 70s, it's all like little the models, right? They
Yeah.
created models for all that stuff. But with that said, I was always wondering, like, why are people, it's not even that, like, it's not only that, like, oh, it's just a thing to nerd out on and people become obsessed with a particular, like there's like Trekkies and Star Wars people and there's Star Trek people and all that kind of thing. The reason people are into it and they're into the stories is, well, not only because it's an inherent, it relates to Torah, and people and the human condition, or human beings are drawn to these themes. It's also, like you said, it's possible that it's talking about specific characters in our pre-flood history. And for whatever reason, somebody in Hollywood just uncovered this, or somebody uncovered this, brought it to Hollywood, told them a story. Maybe the names were different, but literally the plots are almost identical or identical. There may have been some sort of manuscript which still remains hidden somewhere. And that's it. And that's it.
Like early or semi-early in our discussions on this podcast, we discussed the topic of the archetypes.
Yeah.
The Jungian, the Carl Jung, and what he calls the archetypes, and how he just basically kind of like took concepts from Kabbalah, from the Sfirot, right? Like Zeranpin and Nukva and Atik Yomen and Arachanpin and all this kind of stuff, and he renamed it the archetypes.
Yeah.
And in pagan cultures called them the gods.
Yeah.
Or astronomy or astrology, right?
Yeah.
So Star Wars touched upon all those themes. Obviously, we're not saying that there's a literal, galactic empire that was called the same thing with the same exact characters, and there was like a Mace Windu. No, we're not saying that.
Yeah.
But the story is based on in hardwired archetypes that are built into the human consciousness. Okay, and there's something that emerges from the expression of human consciousness in the physical world. It unfolds a certain way. It's pre-programmed to unfold a certain way.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're told in the previous, according to the Torah, sources, right? We're told that in the previous cycle of reality, there there was a Moses and there was an Abraham. And I'm not talking about the Moses and the Abraham of our cycle. That's our cycle.
Yeah.
In the previous cycle of existence, in the
Yeah.
previous epic, there was also a Moses and an Abraham, and all the same. We were all there. We
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
and by the way, the Battlestar Galactica use this theme the modern the one after the 2000s, the
Yeah.
one that was the re-release. The what do you call it? The when you take an old franchise and you recreate it. I forgot what they call that.
Yeah, real re-release.
You had you had the old Battlestar Galactica from
Yeah.
the 70s, and then they
Yeah.
redid it.
Oh, remake. Yeah.
A remake, right?
Yeah, just a remake. Yeah.
Right. And so they had that theme there. They had
Yeah.
like these weird characters that constantly showed up that nobody else saw,
Mm-hmm.
who seemed to be guiding everything.
Mm-hmm.
And they were in the form of two of the main characters, but it wasn't them.
Mm-hmm.
It was like some kind of ascended versions of two of the characters that
Yeah.
were playing, and they were kind of like guiding what was going on.
Yeah.
And it's almost like they were from a pre-cycle. They were from a cycle from before.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's pretty interesting.
Can I read for the folks at home? There's a interesting post. Rabbi Pavlanov, whatever his name is.
Pavlanov, yeah.
He has a blog called Mayim Achronim.
Oh, that's his blog? Okay.
That is him, yeah. I believe that is him. Because I only know that because he sometimes posts YouTubes, and then the YouTubes that you hear his voice. So this actually he made a post about this is Cosmic Shmitot. So I'll just read it real quick. I mean, it's not super long, but it's, probably like 5 minutes. And then if you want, we could watch that. There's a 10-minute thing that he explains it.
And then we got to watch the Bloody Bastards.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. We have to go from
But before you start,
Yeah.
man, like I wish I was a computer nerd and I knew how to use AI and visual stuff.
Mhm.
Because what I would do is I
Yeah.
would take the prequels, the ones that were made after Star
Yeah.
Wars.
Yeah.
I would find old footage of Alec Guinness
Yeah.
as a young actor, and I would superimpose his face over Ewan McGregor. I understand Ewan McGregor is enormously handsome.
Yeah.
I know he's very, very. He
actually
man.
wasn't that bad in this role.
Yeah,
I gotta say.
I just want to tell you why Alec Guinness, why Obi-Wan, the original Obi-Wan, was such a compelling character. Because you literally saw a wise, tough old man who's been through a lot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because Alec Guinness really was that kind of guy.
Yeah.
And right away, you're like, all the young guys watching this, like, my old, the wise old
mentor.
master.
Yeah.
We finally
This is not the droids you're looking for.
folks, you should know, and ladies, if you're listening to this, and guys, you perhaps were not familiar. Every guy that since he was young, always wanted to meet his wise old master, who would turn him into either a ninja, a kung fu master, or a Jedi.
Yeah.
That's something that's hardwired into us.
Correct.
As well.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, and Obi-Wan and Alec Guinness was the wise old master for like the earth.
Yeah.
For like forever. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Him, Pat Morita, and probably a few other guys, Anyway, so if you take Ewan McGregor's face out, superimpose, it can be done.
Yeah, of course.
Think about what they're doing now.
Of course.
Right? And he could do that and definitely get rid of what's his name? Hayden Christensen.
Oh my God.
And find like, dude, and by the way, you know what I would do? Man.
What would you do?
Christopher Lee would be Darth Vader.
Of course.
Okay? Forget Count Dooku. I would take off Vader's stupid helmet.
Yeah.
And it would be Christopher Lee.
Yeah. Folks, we're talking about this guy. This is Christopher Lee.
You can keep James Earl's
Jim Jones' voice.
Yeah, you can keep him, but
the face of Fu Manchu. Oh my God, he played. What the heck? That's very funny.
I never saw that, but yeah.
What man? If people only knew, they would be upset. Cultural appropriation. Unbelievable.
That's another guy, by the way,
Yeah, yeah.
who has been. He's like, what was that movie where? Oh, it was in Lord of the Rings,
Hmm.
where Peter Jackson was telling him, he was the director. Peter Jackson was telling him, you know, when you stab this guy, you have to come up like this. And he
Yeah,
goes, don't tell me how to stab somebody, what they sound like when they get
yeah,
stabbed. I know
yeah,
exactly what that sounds
yeah,
like.
yeah.
He killed people in World War II with a knife.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
By the way, did we remember we saw he talked a lot about the occult?
Yeah.
Is it occult library, Christopher Lee?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
I'll play that after. But I just want to read this from Rabbi Polvanov.
Yeah. Yeah. Please,
It's
please.
called Cosmic Shmitot. So he's talking about there's a in the Torah portion called it's actually in actually no, I'm sorry. It's in the Torah portions that are later after this. So he says
Hang on. I want to pull it up so I can follow along with you on my phone.
yeah.
My acronym,
Hey, you know
uh,
what? I'll just post it in the
cosmic.
I'll just post it here in the chat. Here.
No, no, no. I'll just look at it on my phone. It's like
Okay.
cosmic.
You may not
I got it.
Shemmittot.
I
Okay.
got it. I got
Okay.
it. Okay.
So it says this week's double Torah portion, Bechar Behukotai, begins, and God spoke to Moses on Mount Sinai, speak to the children of Israel, and say to them, when you enter the land that I give you, the land shall observe a Sabbath to God. The land shall observe a Sabbath to God. This is Leviticus 25, 1 and 2. As is well known, the Holy Land must be worked for 6 years and then left fallow in the seventh sabbatical year, the Shemitah. After seven such cycles, the 50th year is the Great Jubilee. After explaining the basic, simple meaning of the text, these verses, Rabbeinu Bechaye, Rabbi Bechaye ben Asher, who lived from 1255 to 1340, gives an explanation al derech Kabbalah, like according to Kabbalah. The land shall observe a Sabbath to God refers to the seventh millennium of desolation, which is entirely a Sabbath of eternal rest. This is a reference to the world to come following the resurrection of the dead. You shall sanctify the 50th year, and you shall proclaim freedom throughout the land for all its inhabitants. It shall be a jubilee. Refers to each of the 7 days of 7 days, quote unquote days of 7,000 years, making it a total of 49,000 years, after which the cosmos will return to a state of tohu vohu, like chaos. This is from Rabbeinu Bachai. Rabbeinu Bachai is speaking of the ancient mystical doctrine of the cosmic Shmitot. Just as there is a 49-year cycle in the Holy Land, the entire cosmos throughout goes through a 49,000-year cosmic cycle. Each of the 7,000-year periods correspond to one day, quote unquote, of creation. Each period consists of 6,000 years of civilization, followed by a resting seventh millennium, which is Olam Haba, the world to come, corresponding to the delightful and spiritual Shabbat, before restarting a new era of civilization. After 49,000 years, there's a cosmic jubilee, and the cycle restarts again. Raphael Shuchat points out that the first mention of this notion goes all the way back to the Second Temple era, to the apocryphal second book of Enoch. Recall that Enoch, never died and was transformed into an angel when God, quote unquote, took him. This is in Genesis 5, 23, 24. The book of Enoch is attributed to him, but it was not accepted into the official Tanakh canon by our sages. Nonetheless, the Zohar quotes from the book dozens of times. It was most likely kept outside of the Tanakh as one of the Sifrei Hitzonim because it was too mystical and esoteric. In the book of Enoch, we read that God showed Hanach the entire span of 7,000 years, each day corresponding to a millennium. Then the eighth day will be the first of a newly created week, and thus it revolves in a cycle of 7,000. This is 2 Enoch 33. The Zohar similarly says that there's a civilization span of 7,000 years. The Talmud mentions this briefly in several places, too, including in Tractate Rosh Hashanah 31a and Sanhedrin 97a. In both cases, there's another opinion presented that the sabbatical millennium is not 1,000 years, but 2,000 years. This is probably referring to the final sabbatical in the Jubilee year, since the 49th millennium is a sabbatical, and then the 50th is a Jubilee, meaning that there would be 2,000 years of rest at the very end of the cycle. This seems to be the position of the Ramban, Rabbi Moshe ben Nachmanides, who lived from 1194 to 1270, who described the cycle as being a total of 50,000 years, not 49. He explained on Leviticus 25:2 that these 50,000 years are the secret of Nun Shari Bina, the 50 gates of understanding. And when the sages state that the God revealed to Moses all 50 gates except for the last, this is from the Talmud and Rosh Hashanah, it means God showed Moses nearly the entire span, some 49,000 years of hidden history, except for the final 50th Jubilee millennium. Basically 1,000 years. This position is also held by the ancient Sefer HaTemunah, one of the oldest Kabbalistic texts. The main focus of this book is to explain the mystery of the divine Hebrew alphabet and the secrets of the shapes of the letters. It is an important work not only for Jewish mysticism, but even halacha, since it is used as a source of proper Torah scribing. Sefer HaTemunah speaks of the cosmic cycle too, connects to the 50 gates. Intriguingly, it posits that we are currently in the second Shemitah, meaning there was already a previous era of civilization before ours. Now, each of the 7 cycles of 7,000 correspond to the 7 lower Sefirot, the Midot or qualities. Thus, the first era of civilization was one of Hesed, kindness and positivity, while the second era, the one which we're in currently, is Gevur. So this is like one opinion, actually, we'll come to see. Severity and judgment. This explains why the world we know is so difficult and full of evil and suffering. Similarly, the Kabbalists explain that the Torah manifests itself differently in each Shemitah. Since we are in the Shemitah of Gevura and Din, like judgment, the Torah in this iteration manifests itself as being full of laws, restrictions, punishments, and the like. In our reality, halacha takes primacy. It seems that in the previous era of Hesed, it was the Agada that was the primary, not the halacha, and the Torah was expressed in a much softer manner. According to some later sources, in each Shemitah, it is the same Torah with the same exact set of letters, but they are rearranged. A different opinion is that we are currently not in the second, but in the fourth. This is discussed by Tiferet Israel, Rabbi Israel Lifshitz, no relation, 1782 to 1860, in his Drush Or HaChaim, at the end of Mishnah commentary on Nezikin. Nezikin is one of the Mishnah tractates. He uses the doctrine of cosmic shmitot to explain why scientists find ancient fossils and archaeological remains, reasoning that these must be the remnants of past Shemitah civilization, as opposed to what Christians, no offense, some Christians say, the devil put it there. Isn't that a much nicer explanation that it was a previous cosmic Shemitah than the devil put it there? The devil put those bones there over there. Ridiculous. He interprets the earlier sources a little differently and says that the second Shemitah that has human life, but the fourth Shemitah altogether. He says that this is secretly encoded in the first letter of the Torah. The Beit of Bereshit is written large to indicate that we're in the second Shemitah. It's incredible that some person actually, that has human life, and the Beit is written with 4 tagin, crowns, to secretly encode that we are in the fourth Shemitah overall. Incredible. Tiferet Israel adds that this is the secret of our sages' statement that there were 974 generations before Adam. This is in Tractate Chagiga 13b and 14a, and also Shabbat. These are the generations of past Shmitot. Yet another opinion is that we are already in the seventh Shemitah. This was the preferred choice of Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan, who went into the subject in depth of immorality, resurrection, and the age of the universe. Actually, I have to get this book. Rabbi Kaplan favored this one because it allowed for a calculation that fit most closely with scientific estimates of the age of the universe. He cited sources that said there were already 42,000 years before Adam was created, putting us in the 7th era of Malchut. This also makes sense because Malchut is typically described as being empty and lowly, with no light of its own, which might reflect the reality in which we exist. Whatever the case, we have an abundance of Torah evidence going all the way back to the Second Temple era that the notion of cosmic shmitot is not only legitimate, but accepted by major authorities. However, the Arizal, Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, who lived in 1534 to 1572, seemed to be opposed to this notion and held that the earlier generations simply misunderstood the spiritual dimensions. There are some today who still cite the Arizal in opposing the notion of cosmic shmitot. But if we are going to be honest and rational, can we really say that all of the greats of the past were wrong? That even Ezra, Ramban, Rabbeinu Bechaya could not understand spiritual realities? That the book of Enoch cited countless times in the Zohar and Sefer HaTmunah, which is also halachic texts, were mistaken? That even the sages of the Talmud and the references in the Midrash, such as Kohelet Rabbah and Zohar, which explicitly states that the souls of this world existed in previous worlds, can't be taken at face value? In the big picture of Kabbalah, it's the Arizal and the Ramak against everyone else, including major Rishonim and fundamental ancient texts. Rabbi Kaplan writes, since this is not a matter of law, there is no binding opinion. Although the Ari may have been the greatest of Kabbalists, his opinion on this matter is by no means absolutely binding. Since there were many important Kabbalists who upheld the concept of sabbatical cycles, it is valid, acceptable opinion. And the reality is recent scientific and archaeological findings strongly support the notion of cosmic shmitot too. Physical evidence. Archaeologists have found many structures around the world that date far older than previously thought. The most famous example might be the Great Pyramids of Giza and nearby Sphinx. Though typically dated to about 4,000 years old, evidence suggests that they are much older. The Sphinx in particular has many layers of water erosion at its base, suggesting that it has lived through years of rainy weather. In recent millennia, Egypt does not have rain, of course. However, meteorological analysis and satellite scans suggest that Egypt was one part of a massive rainforest that spanned what is now the Sahara Desert. Based on new data, some have suggested that the Sphinx is something like 12,000 years old, having been built at a time when Egypt's weather was rainy and wet. Another well-known example is that of Göbekli Tepe, an ancient city on Earth in Turkey that has been dated back to some 11,500 years and sports the world's oldest known temple. This is okay. Similarly, the Tel Es Sultan site in Israel near today's Jericho has been dated back to around the same time. And there are many others. I'm going to show you this thing. Tel Sultan. Tel is like city, anything that's called Tel, like Tel Aviv, Tel this, Tel Mon, Tel Dan, is cities built on top of cities. And it's like they span eras, different eras. Yeah, this is the town of Göbekli Tepe in modern-day Turkey. Dates back to... Because of these reasons, some have proposed that we should change our year counting system to start from the earliest signs of complex civilization. And instead of saying we are in 2023, okay, this is like last year you wrote, simply add 10,000 on top when we are in 12,023. Human era or Holocene era. This happens to fit quite perfectly with cosmic shmitot. If we go with the earliest and most authoritative text, Sefer HaTmunah, and we say we're in the second Shemitah, then we need to add 7,000 to our current Jewish year of 5783, making it the cosmic year 12,783. Yeah, 1273 of the cycle. The archaeological evidence strongly supports Sefer HaTmunah, as does the general idea that our civilization is full of war, misery, and suffering corresponding to the second Midah of Gevurah, and the notion that the current Torah reality is one of strict halacha and din. All of this fits well when the increasingly popular younger Drias hypothesis positing that great civilizations first emerged at the end of the last ice age about 12,000 years ago, when we suddenly see rising temperatures and rising sea levels all around the planet. There is even a far-out hypothesis arguing that the moon only entered Earth's orbit about 12,000 years ago, and this may be what caused the drastic changes of the younger Drias in the first place. Truly, there is no reason to stop at 12,000, since we can say that the current 50,000-year cycle is not the first. And there were previous Jubilees as well. In fact, one might argue that we are in the second Shemitah of the second Jubilee, making our reality a Gevurah Shebegevurah era. Which I don't think is the case. This might explain even older pieces of archaeological and scientific evidence. It is worth mentioning that Earth's rotation and tilt has its own cycle of about 41,000 years, with a wobble that makes the tilt shift between maximums of 22.1 and 24.5 degree tilts, with massive repercussions for weather and climate. Recall that it is Earth's tilt that gives rise to the seasons. According to scientists, the last maximum tilt position is estimated to have occurred about 10,700 years ago. To conclude, the mystical notion of cosmic shmitot is not only valid and kosher, but attested to by a large number of ancient sources, including the Talmud and Zohar, and many great Kabbalists and Rishonim. It is absolutely fundamental for making sense of creation and cosmogony, along with a plethora of scientific, archaeological, and historical findings. While it remains to be seen exactly which Shemitah we are currently in, much evidence supports the earliest position that we are in the second, though it may very well be that this is not the first cycle altogether. Either way, as we approach the end of our sixth millennium, we get closer and closer to each day to the seventh sabbatical millennium of universal rest, holiness, and elevation. So here it talks, it's like a 10-minute thing that he talks about it.
It
So,
says in
What's up?
oh, you want to watch the whole thing?
Yeah, it's 10 minutes. I don't know.
Wait, before we do that, can I
Yeah.
try to reconcile a couple of things that
Sure.
he spoke about?
Yeah.
We might very well be in the second Jubilee cycle of 50,000 years.
Yeah.
But we could be in the seventh cycle within the second cycle.
Yes.
Right? The seventh cycle of 7,000 years, which completes the second Jubilee cycle.
Sir, I'm being knocked down. Just give me 1 second. I'm very sorry.
Okay. Folks, he's being knocked on. So
it's been explained to me, and I've been made to understand that the New York Knicks have won Game 2 on the road against the Boston Celtics in a rousing 25-point comeback, similar to the one in Game 1, and that is all I have to say. Continue.
Yes. Okay. So, so as we said, there's Jubilee cycles, and then there's just the regular old 7,000 year cycles. And so again, so that could be a way to reconcile it. I don't know. That's just my speculation. Take it with a grain of salt. The second thing is how to reconcile what the Arizal said and the Ramak, right? That the previous cycles that the Torah talks about were spiritual. Okay, so no one has ever defined spiritual. Okay, except to say that it's a different kind of reality that we cannot detect. And people and modern, modern legit Kabbalists, not like dilettantes, from Freemasonry and New Age, but real Torah Kabbalists, right, who are also very well versed in physics. For instance, there's actually people who are both literal physicists and Kabbalists, like Ari Kaplan. He had a master's degree in physics, and he worked as a physicist. Okay, in some practical application. Forgot what it was, and he was one of the greatest modern Kabbalists. And so they were saying, they've been saying, I've heard, that the spiritual universe is made of tachyon particles. And the reason why we can't, tachyon particles are described as particles that travel faster than light. So there could be an entire, fauna of particles that are considered in the tachyon category, right? That we'd never be able to perceive, because everything that we interact with and everything that we can see moves at sublight speed. Okay, so it really could be something of that nature. So to say that the previous cycles were spiritual just means that they could have had that's Balrog. I think he's telling me to shut up.
It's like, I don't want to go back to the previous cycle.
Balrog has the same consonants as Gabriel. I told you that story, right?
Yes.
But anyway, so hey, Balrog, put a cork in it. Thank you. I love you. Okay, so that's my cat, Balrog, folks. Okay, so basically, it could have been the reality of existence could have been of a somewhat different than the way we experience things now. But also, another way of putting it is that if this is the seventh millennium, if this is the seventh cycle within whatever Jubilee cycle it's located in, right? The seventh cycle is always corresponds with the sphere of Malchut, and Malchut is considered empty. It doesn't have its own light, right? It's like a body compared to a soul. Okay, so it's possible that the previous cycles had a soul that we just don't sense or feel. In this, there was a level of spirituality that existed that we just can't sense anymore, right? It's like we feel like we're cut off from spirituality. And the spiritual realities were far more powerful than the type of reality that we find ourselves in right now, right? There was more things that were possible. People were more powerful. Beings were more powerful. It could explain a lot of the, mythological stories that we hear about, wizards and, and mighty heroes and all this kind of stuff. Okay. Because they were infused with a more powerful spirituality. So when the Ari, and this is just me guessing, I would never presume to speak authoritatively in any sense, of course not, but it could be that when the Ari said that those cycles of reality were spiritual, that's what he meant, that they were infused with. It doesn't mean that they didn't have a physical aspect to it. It doesn't mean that they didn't have a body or something tangible. It's just that the spirituality within it was more tangible. Like the soul shined through it. Now the soul, it's in there, but in our reality, but it doesn't shine through like it did in previous cycles. And that might explain materialists, who even doubt the existence of a soul or anything spiritual.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense to you? Be honest.
It does. No, it does.
Anyway, you want to?
It does. No. I wanted to. There's a guy. I mean, I don't know if I should play these guys or there's a guy, Doctor. Oh, okay. You know what? There's a lot of things I want to do, but let's play this clip first. This 10-minute thing where he talks about, and then I want to show you something that I saw on X. Okay.
Kohelet Rabbah in the Midrash, HaKadosh Baruch Hu boneh olamot u'machriban. It's a very famous statement. It appears in other places too, that God, before he created this world, would create and destroy other worlds. So Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan was quoting from a bunch of different sources. It appears in many ancient books, some of the most ancient mystical texts that talk about this idea of cosmic shmitot. So if you remember a shmita is the sabbatical. So every 7 years you have a Sabbath, right? We have a Sabbath every seventh day, Shabbat, and then every seventh year, God commanded that everybody should just rest for a whole year, at least rest from farming, from agricultural labor. So we rest every 7 days, and then we rest every 7 years. So it's called a Shemitah. And in ancient mystical texts, it talks about how the whole universe goes through cosmic Shmitot, that the whole universe goes through cycles of 7,000 years. That we have 6,000 years of like civilization, and the 7,000th year is a Shemitah, like a rest. And then it starts again, so that humanity goes through cycles of Shmitot. Every so often we find evidence that there were civilizations that are older than what we think. Like we tend to think that civilization began about 5,000-6,000 years ago. And then sometimes we find things that suggest that maybe the universe was, or civilization, there were earlier civilizations before that. So it makes you wonder, like, what year is it really? Some people like to say that it's not actually 2021, that we should add 10,000 years and say that it's 12,021. So because since the earliest evidence that we have of civilization that we found goes back about 12,000 years. So there is this movement. I don't know how strong this movement is, but you can look it up, of people that want to change our year, the way we keep track of time. Right now we say it's 2021, but why do we're basing that off of basically Jesus, like why most of the world is not religious, I should say not Christian, and there's no reason for the world to track time according to that. So there are some people in the scientific community and otherwise that are saying we should keep track of years based on the earliest start of civilization, the earliest evidence of civilization, which is about 12,000 years. And I bring this up because I mentioned there's a couple of opinions onto which Shemitah we're in. So there's one opinion that we're in the 7th, and there's another that we're in the 2nd, that we're only in the 2nd Shemitah. So there were 7,000 years. There was one 7,000 year cycle before us. And now we're in the 2nd cycle. And there's a lot of things, like a lot of interesting ideas that come out of that. What does that mean to be in the 2nd cycle? And maybe we can talk about that afterwards. The implications of what does it mean to be in the 1st cycle of civilization versus in the 2nd cycle of civilization. And how does the Torah change? Because the Torah, again, is eternal. So how is the Torah understood in each cycle? So just an interesting idea to present to you, that if we are in the 2nd cycle, like some of our sages said, then we're really not in 5781, but we're in 12781. Based on the Torah, based on those sages that say we're in the 2nd cycle, we're in 12781, and that fits very closely to what many scientists would like to see, which is that we should change our years to 12021, that we should be counting this, the current year should be 12,000. And that fits with this idea of being in the 2nd Shemitah. So just an idea. It's a little more out there. It's interesting. We have some evidence to support very early civilizations, the earliest civilizations being 12,000 years ago. The Sphinx, which sits in front of the pyramids, is even more mysterious, perhaps, than the pyramids, because the Sphinx appears to be even older. We have no idea when it was built. It looks like it's been eroded by flowing water, and it has so many layers that some people, not accepted by mainstream science because it's so bizarre, but some people think that this thing is at least 10,000 years old, maybe 12,000 years old. And the Sphinx is in the shape of a lion, of course. And so there's this idea that the Sphinx was built during the age of Leo. So remember we talked about these cosmic ages of this 26,000 year cycle. So the past 2,000 years were the age of Pisces. And before that was the age of Aries, 2,000 years before that. And if you keep going back, at that time, 10 to 12,000 years ago or so, that would have been the age of Leo. So the idea is that the pyramids and the Sphinx were built at this time, aligned with Orion, and the Sphinx was supposed to represent the age of Leo at that time. And I think this goes back to the idea of the cosmic Shmitot. So I want to talk about this because we're talking about a 26,000 year cycle. So that, again, brings to mind the question of how do we deal with that and the fact that the Jewish year is 5781. So we already addressed that when we talked about Torah and science in part 1 there, how we deal with time. But I want to talk about the cosmic Shmitot again. Remember this idea of a Shemitah, that we have a sabbatical year, right? The Torah tells us that every 7th year, we have a year of Shabbat, right? Every 7th day, we have a Sabbath day, and every 7th year, we have a Sabbath year. And in Kabbalistic texts that go back thousands of years, some of the earliest Kabbalistic texts, like Sefer HaTmuna, there's this idea of even greater cosmic Shmitot, that there's a 7,000 year cycle of civilization, and that God kind of restarts civilization every 7,000 years. So we're in the year 5781, but we're not the first Shemitah necessarily. And so according to different texts, we might be in the 2nd Shemitah, or perhaps in the 5th, maybe in the 7th even. But there were other 7,000 year cycles of human civilization that come and go. And I think the evidence suggests that we are in the 2nd Shemitah. I think the consensus is that among most of the sources is that we're in the 2nd Shemitah, and there's a lot of good reasons for that. And Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan talks about this more if you want to read his books, like his book Kabbalah and the Age of the Universe. He talks about this. I think he also talks about this in the Sefer Yetzirah book, if I'm not mistaken. So the idea that we're in the 2nd Shemitah fits really neatly with this, because archaeologists, when they dig and they find stuff, we haven't found any evidence of complex civilization before 12,000 years ago. So the earliest bits, the earliest pieces of evidence for any kind of like building cities, towns, villages, technology, perhaps the Sphinx, they don't go back more than 12,000 years. Before that, we might have some cave paintings or whatever, but no complex civilization. So it looks like civilization goes back to perhaps up to 12,000 years. So if we're in the second Shemitah, that fits perfectly because you had 7,000 years and now we're in 5781 of the second Shemitah. So that makes it really like 12,781, which just fits with the archaeological record really nicely. And the Midrash says, by the way, that before God created this world, it's a very famous Midrash, that God was creating and destroying other worlds before this one. And some say that's the secret of Bereshit, that in the beginning of the Torah, what does it say? V'ha'aretz ayta tohu vavo, right? V'choshech al pnei tehom. V'ruach Elohim merachefet al pnei hamayim. That the Torah says that the world was chaotic, tohu vavo, that there was darkness upon the deep, that there was water. So some of the commentaries say, wait, that implies that something already existed, that there was already something. So there was previous worlds that were destroyed, and then out of the chaos of other old civilizations, God created a new thing. God hit reset and started again. It's a wild kind of idea that hard to think about. It's not something that you hear about very often, very deep mystical secret, but I think it explains a lot of things. And I'll add just one more detail here. The reason that I like the opinion that we're in the second Shemitah is because each Shemitah has its quality corresponding to the Kabbalistic Sfirot that we talked about. So the first Sfirah is Chesed, the second is Gvura, if you remember, then Tiferet. So if we're in the second Shemitah, those opinions that say we're in the second Shemitah, they say we're in the Shemitah of Gvura. Gvura is Din. And so the Torah is the same. The Torah is eternal. But in each Shemitah, the Torah would be expressed differently, But it's the same Torah, the same eternal Torah, but expressed differently in each cycle. So because we're in the second cycle, in the cycle of Din and Gvura, the Torah expresses itself in terms of Din and Gvura. And Din is judgment. Din is law. Din is ritual, right? So in our iteration of the Torah now, Judaism is very heavily focused on halacha, right? On law and ritual. And so the Kabbalistic explanation for that is because in this Shemitah, that's the focus. That's how the Torah is rectified and expressed in this current Shemitah, because we're in the Shemitah corresponding to Gvura and Din. So it's the realm of halacha. So the way that Judaism is in this cycle is very halachic. And perhaps in previous cycles, maybe it was different. Maybe in the first Shemitah, the Torah was expressed more in Chesed. In the next one, it'll be more in Tiferet, whatever that means. So that's also part of it. So I think this idea of cosmic Shemitah it's actually a legitimate Jewish idea. It's not some like far out like New Age theory. It's something that's been discussed hundreds of years ago by our own sages in Sefer Tmuna, by Rabbi Yitzchak Man Ako, Rabbi Aryeh Kaplan did a whole detailed analysis of this. It's discussed in many places, and it just fits well with the astrology and cosmology and archaeology and science. It all just works together really beautifully. So that's why I wanted to mention it.
Dude, you know what I think about sometimes, or what I'm noticing? You know how up until maybe, I don't know, like 20 years ago or 30 years ago, whenever science discovers anything, whether they uncover something or they discover something, it is usually accepted. I mean, ever since pretty much like they had the times when it wasn't accepted, let's say the last 100 years, pretty much anything that was discovered by a reputable scientist has been accepted, let's say. Right? It hasn't been called pseudoscience or whatever, right? For whatever reason, the last, I want to say 20 years or 15 years, it's almost as if anything that anybody's coming with is basically it's either written off as pseudoscience, or that person has turned into some sort of like, it's almost like as if there's like a canon, right?
Yeah.
And you can't and you can't crack the canon. It's almost like, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds you of like,
COVID.
well, during COVID, but what it reminds me of, the thing that happened during COVID was like the penultimate of it. But it reminds me a lot of, when you come to people like you and I, or people who are not born religious, and you come to people and you say, I'll give you an example, right? You come and you say, oh, why do we still have the law of, kitniot, for example? Why can't Ashkenazim eat rice anymore? We don't have the problem of, because we don't have that problem that this issue was addressing, right? We don't have that problem
Yeah.
anymore. We don't mix rice and wheat in the same factories, so that problem went away. So therefore, Ashkenazim can eat rice. Sephardim already don't even, they eat rice, right? They eat rice, they eat all this stuff. And you come and you say to people, why can't we change the laws now that we see in front of our face that there's no issue? Why can't we change the laws? And they come and you say, well, we don't have sages, we don't have rabbis.
That's not, that was a bad. I understand what you're saying.
You
but
understand what I mean? Like it's
hold on, hold on. Wait,
it's not a
but
perfect analogy. Yeah.
it's a bad analogy because
Okay.
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but
Yeah.
that particular. I agree with your point. It's just the
Yeah.
analogy.
So I will say in Judaism that answer
Wait.
makes sense.
No,
Their answer.
no.
Okay.
Just listen for a second. The whole thing with the rice thing, right? That there is a concept straight from the Torah and in Jewish law called Minhag Yisrael.
Correct.
Okay, once people or a community has kept a custom
Yeah.
for such a long period of time, it has
Right.
become grafted onto them.
Correct.
It is you can't just shed it unless unless it's a very, very serious, like for a very, very, very,
Yeah.
very big reason. Okay.
Yeah.
And eating better, eating tastier food on Pesach,
Yeah.
not good enough. Okay.
It's not
I'm
even that
sorry.
it's tastier. It's that, for example, like if no, but you're saying it's Minchag Israel for the people who don't have a what's called a broken Mesorah. If
It's
I'm
not
a
a bro-
no,
it's
no,
not a broken.
I'm a Russian speaking Jew, right? And religion was made illegal, and now I've returned, I personally have returned. I've made the choice to return. No one
Yeah.
else in my family, no, I mean, let's just for example say if no one else in my family had returned, and now you're telling me for virtue of the fact that I was born where I was born.
I think it goes by the custom of the community that you're a part of. I think that's
I'm not part of any community.
okay. You want to listen.
No, you know what I'm saying?
I see what you're doing. I get it. I'm guilty of it myself. I understand.
Yeah.
It's not right,
Yeah.
but it's not correct if you want to
Yeah.
go about it correctly. But I see what you're doing.
What
So
up?
basically,
Yeah.
look, folks, when people come from non-religious backgrounds, right? And even our parents weren't religious. Even our grandparents weren't religious.
My grandfather, whatever,
Yeah, but
one
we
of
don't.
them was,
But not enough is known about his religious life
correct.
and the customs and which custom, which little
Yeah.
little village customs he kept in
Yeah.
his part of the world, right?
Yeah.
So because of that, we're kind of like Ronin,
Yeah.
we're like
Yeah.
Jewish Ronin. We don't know,
Yeah. Yeah.
So we can kind of, I guess we might have a little bit of leeway there, but generally speaking, for the community, for established communities.
Sure. I get, yeah.
But
Sure.
I get what you're saying about the science.
What I'm
thing.
saying is the scientists have taken what's called a minchag, I don't know, science stance, and like they're like, we cannot change this. This is immutable. You have to have, like what is it called? You need double blind peer review. You must and there, like you said, during COVID, the whole thing fell apart because you saw how when you came to people about the mRNA and they said, well, we don't have time for studies. And then you came to people about your brother's stuff and they said, "Oh, there are no studies. So for this you don't have time, but for this you have time."
Okay, so check this out. You've heard of Brett Weinstein, right?
Correct.
Who's kind of whatever
Yeah.
lately.
Okay.
And he has a brother named Eric Weinstein.
Correct.
Eric Weinstein is a theoretical physicist. He's a mathematician.
Yeah.
Interesting guy. I don't agree with a lot of what he says.
Yeah.
But he's involved. He got involved in the UAP topic, by the way,
Interesting. Okay.
only because it's something he scoffed at. But because he's friends with Jesse
Michaels.
Michaels. We got to learn how to pronounce his name right. He seems like a whatever.
Yeah.
Seems like a nice guy. And because he's friends with him,
Mm-hmm.
Jesse Michaels keeps bugging him about it. So he kind of has participated in some of those discussions. And he said something interesting. He said, if what you're saying is true, and this is during a conversation with Hal Puthoff, I think it's worth it to dig up this clip.
Mm-hmm.
We even played it before,
Mm-hmm.
but it was one of those times where you were probably like spaced out or too tired or whatever, right?
Yeah.
That's how I'm feeling right now. He was saying that string. He's a big opponent of string theory, by the way,
Mm-hmm.
which is the preeminent that's the priesthood's primary religion now is string theory, right? So he's very much against it. He thinks that real physics has been censored since the 50s. That there's an elite physics community that have essentially they have the real physics and they suppress the world with string theory to keep us stagnating or spinning our wheels.
Yeah.
And that the real physics is being used in deep black programs.
Yeah. I found the clip, by the way, if you want to. There's a couple of clips where
I'm hoping that this is the one where he said.
Yeah, here you go. Aerospace companies not sharing information with the academic world. This short clip, 1 minute 41, with Mickles in it, right?
Yeah.
There's another clip also where they're talking about that stuff. Okay, let's see.
The role of aerospace companies as holders of potentially basic scientific knowledge not shared with the academic world seems very wrong to me.
May be wrong, but it's true.
It is true. You believe it's true.
Yeah, I know it's true.
You know that there's physics knowledge held by aerospace companies that is not
There
known?
certainly is materials knowledge, which involves topological physics.
The two scientists became close colleagues, with Hynek entrusting Valet to index the reams of...
Okay, that's it. That's basically... Can you replay that last bit, what he just said? Because that's the main point.
Space companies that is not
There
known?
certainly is materials knowledge, which involves topological physics.
The two scientists...
Okay.
Topological physics.
Yeah.
Can I read after this? Can I read something to you by this guy, Dr. Disclosure on Twitter?
Yeah.
Hilarious.
I love all these
I know these accounts. Yeah.
By the way, do not send me red panda koala stuff. The guy.
I know. I'm sorry. It's just fascinating. So whatever.
Yeah.
It's not red panda koala stuff. It's what he retweets. He sometimes retweets interesting things that I.
By the way, the woke right, the Groyper kind of world, is spilling over into the, for instance, now Stephen Greer is a gay Jew. That's the latest thing.
What does it have to do with anything? Even if that would be the case, what in God's name?
Well, with people who are so obsessed with Jews, it has to be, right?
Yeah,
because they're a Moloch.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. They're the agents of the Sitra Achra.
Yeah.
So, what did I want to tell you? Hang on.
Something about
no, the
Dr. Disclosure.
Yeah, no, that's what you wanted to tell. Shit, I forgot. All right, what's
something about the physics? No, so this guy basically posted.
Oh yeah, no. That guy Puthoff. Damn, I keep a phone.
Yeah.
One second. That guy Hal Puthoff, that they were just talking to, that Weinstein was talking to, was I think Rogan's latest guest.
Yes.
So just to put the pieces together for everyone.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this guy writes breaking news: an anonymous electrical engineer has released BAASS documents on Reddit. What the heck is BAASS?
Okay. Oh yeah.
You've seen this?
Yeah, basically BASS. Okay, so there's a guy
Yeah.
What's his name? He used to own Skinwalker Ranch.
I don't know.
His name is he's like a billionaire dude who owned a hotel chain.
Jay
And
Stratton? No, not Jay
no,
Stratton.
no,
Okay.
no, not Jay Stratton, is an important guy.
I'm not sure.
There's a tea company. There's a company that sells like tea,
Mm-hmm.
which is exactly the same last name as this guy. God, I can't believe I forgot his name. It's like popped right out of my head.
Who owns Skin? Are you talking a Fugel? Brandon
No, no,
Fugal?
no. I'm talking about the previous owner,
Bigelow. Robert Bigelow. There we go.
Bigelow.
Aerospace tycoon.
Yeah.
He
Okay.
purchased Fugal purchased the thing in 2016 from aerospace tycoon Robert Bigelow.
Yeah. So Bigelow, exactly. Now Bigelow, uh, he got a government contract, right, to study Skinwalker Ranch and the phenomenon associated with it.
Oh, this guy.
Yeah.
We've looked at him
Yeah.
before. Yeah.
Again, like I'm talking about this as if, like, part of me is always like, this is a story that's been weaved together
Yeah.
by the government, and I'm just regurgitating it like a fool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of just like, when I'm saying this stuff to you folks, I'm telling you the lore. I'm saying to you, it has been explained to me, or
Yeah.
I've been told that.
Yeah.
Whether or not these people, whether or not the story is as it's being narrated to us, I have a question about that.
This Bigelow guy is a big Trump guy.
Well, he's not a big Trump guy. He's a Republican,
Yeah.
and I think he was
And
more.
he gave $1 million to Trump's legal defense fund and whatever.
Yeah, well, I think he was more of a DeSantis guy before, I think.
Yeah. He was. Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, that's actually a good sign. So, all right, so let's say, accepting that the story is precisely the way we're being told, okay?
Mhm.
I'm sure it's not.
Mhm.
Doesn't mean I'm doubting the whole thing, though. Anyway, so this guy Bigelow, he has been studying the paranormal for a very, very long time.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of interviews with him, plenty of interviews.
Yeah. But can I'm gonna read you this. Yeah, so this guy.
Yeah, so his BASS, that BASS thing,
Yeah.
that was his program. He was the
okay.
private contractor.
Well,
who was conducting
this is supposedly the documents that were released. Okay, so it goes, a former DoD black project engineer, now terminally ill, revealed that the Tic Tac UAP is human-made and uses real operational gravitational propulsion developed through both reverse engineering and independent innovation. He described successful experiments involving Tesla turbines, rotating magnets, plasma toroids, and microwave system to generate gravitational waves without the need for exotic materials. He accused Jay Stratton and Louis Elizondo of suppressing inventors and burying key technologies, claiming over 2,000 legacy programs exist to reverse engineer UAPs, with corporations like Lockheed and Booz Allen hoarding breakthroughs. Most explosively, he studied anti-gravity and has been mastered to the point of interstellar capability. He stated that anti-gravity has been mastered to the point of interstellar capability and has been deliberately hidden. So these are the supposed documents. 2008, project management. So it's showing the that Tic Tac thing. Tic Tac Mach number, air temperature, 700 miles an hour, mixed inlet and supersonic outlet. This is all like these measurements. This is all like the Mach this, Mach that.
Look,
and then it goes like who has, access to this and who's doing this research.
Look, can I create a scenario for you?
Okay.
Okay, there's a guy. He's another one of these guys. He's good. Serious researcher. Richard Dolan.
Mm-hmm.
And he has this concept which he calls the breakaway civilization.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of neatly overlaps with some of what we heard tonight and some of what Hal Puthoff told Eric Weinstein, right? That there's science that has been kind of hidden from mainstream physics and from the public for at least 70 years.
Yeah.
in the 50s, okay? That they had flying saucers in the 50s already. This is like, like meaning like they recreated it. Like they had some success with recreating flying saucers in the 50s. Okay.
Yeah.
So if that were the case, and all of these claims are true that they've already have interstellar craft and all this kind of stuff, that means that there could be an entire breakaway faction of humanity.
Yeah.
Listen to this, okay?
Mm-hmm.
That is already operating in outer space and already has bases on different, on the moon and on Mars and all this kind of stuff, which would seem to kind of blend with what Chaim Eshed has said, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And so they've been operating, and it's much apparent, it's probably much easier to build in space. It's probably much, if you're able to move so quickly through space, right? And with less gravity, right? You can probably manufacture things much easier on the moon. You can manufacture things on Mars. And there's the benefits to that is that, you can operate, you can do all this activity completely unnoticed. Like most of us wouldn't know about it.
Yeah.
The question is why? Why would they do this to us? Why? Like, why are you operating an entire secret civilization? So I have a possible answer that I'm using some of the Torah concepts that I've heard, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have heard before, actually probably like two episodes ago, right? We were reading how the cycles, what is the point? What is the point of the cycles? The Shmitot, the 7,000 year cycles, the Jubilees and all this kind of stuff. What is being accomplished? So God is primarily, I think, working on our consciousnesses, right? He's essentially growing and raising sentient life.
Yeah.
Human souls or sentient souls, right? And the cycles are these like schools, if you will, or soul growing projects, right? Where people get wiser, and then each soul graduates to different levels of awareness and all this kind of stuff. Okay, so the same source that told us about this, right, in the previous, the Torah book that we read last time, right? You with me, Greg?
Yeah.
It was saying that that there's like a system where you had, like, for instance, the non-Jews from the previous cycle are the Israelites of this cycle, the Jews of this cycle. And the Jews of the previous cycle became the angels of the current cycle, the ones that are directly above us, the Ishim angels. And the Ishim is a word which means men. The Ishim angels.
This may explain why, Gentiles expect Jews to be angels. And when they see that Jews exact what we called Gevura, when Jews actually follow, I guess, this Shemitah cycle's version of the Torah, which says, if somebody comes to kill you, you rise up and you preempt them. They're like, wait a minute, angels are not supposed to do that. Well, these angels are committing genocide.
Just a second. Well, they're wrong on all accounts.
Correct. But you understand what I'm saying, right?
I get what you're saying.
Why they may have that perception.
Well, first of all, their perception, if that's the case, is wrong on both counts.
Of course it is.
Because number one, these angels are not committing genocide. And number two, real angels are all Gevura.
That's not what they were told by,
listen,
by Disney.
if they thought that that angels
gonna, yeah,
were supposed to be like Julie, like Julie Andrews in The Sound of Music,
that's what they think.
you've been misinformed.
Not only that, or because the Western world has been, how should I put this? And again, I'm not saying this to offend any Christians personally, but the Western world has been taught that, obviously, JC said, you got to turn the other cheek, supposedly, allegedly, and so any good, Christian, much less Jew, has to turn the other cheek. And if the Jew doesn't turn the other cheek, he's committing genocide.
You've made a very powerful point and a very obnoxious interruption in my point.
I'm very
Thank you.
sorry.
No, you're not. That's fine. That's fine. Okay, so
I am. Why do you think I'm not? Just because you wouldn't be sorry doesn't mean I'm not, Mr.
you're
Frank.
sorry, mother. Okay.
See, this is what happens to me, Frank.
I know.
People. I
They know.
They apologize to me, expecting me to accept their apologies, and I do. I apologize to them. They hold a grudge. Continue.
Greg, this is not going to evolve into a discussion about
Business.
the wine industry and or ladies.
No, that's ain't got nothing to do with it. Ladies. I don't even.
Okay.
Whatever.
All right. So check this out. The breakaway civilization. The breakaway civilization.
Yes.
Right. The suppressed physics. Okay.
Yes.
Great. Now, so we had this system, right, based on what the Torah says, that there's graduating classes, but what I like about that is that the point is everybody makes it. Like everybody gets a chance to graduate, and everybody, it doesn't look like God leaves anybody behind. It might take a while, but everybody catches up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I like that. But yeah. So this technology, right? When did it show up? About 70 years ago, right? Right? Like all these guys are basically talking about when humanity began dealing with UFOs, right? During the nukes or right before the nukes or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the theory of relativity took flight in the form of nuclear weapons.
Okay, so this overlaps with some of the estimates for when Mashiach is supposed to start acting on the world.
Yeah.
Now, in other places in the Torah, in the Zohar, and in the book of Zechariah, right, it says that, in the Zohar explicitly, but in the book of Zechariah, implies that Mashiach comes from the sky, right, from the heavens, with armies of angels.
Yeah.
Why, right? What do our commentaries say? To subdue the forces of man, the military forces, to take over, right? To conquer the world militarily. So what do we hear about military and supernatural stuff? So that's what we've been hearing about in the news all the time, right? It started with the Foo Fighters in World War II. And now you have constantly, right? Especially since 2017, you have these reports of all of these military pilots and all these military witnesses, right? Risking their careers and their clearances, right? Their top secret clearances and all this kind of stuff to come forward and tell people about their encounters with these craft, right? And all of them say the same thing. It flew circles around us. We had no chance to do anything. It messed with our onboard computers. It knew where our destination. It showed up to where we were ordered to show up to. They were already there waiting for us. They dominate us in every conceivable way, right? So these things, whatever they are, right, are showing all these people that they're in charge, but they haven't killed anybody. They haven't actually shot, as far as we know, they haven't shot down any craft. They've been just messing with our most advanced military power, messing with nukes, turning them on and off for decades, right? Malmstrom did the same thing in Russia. and probably most of the stories we haven't heard about. Okay, that's what I would call dominating or subduing the powers of the earth, right? Armies of heaven coming down and subduing the military powers of the earth, conquering them. Didn't say they had to kill anybody, but that's how they're conquered. They're just showing you like we're so far ahead of you that it's ridiculous for you to even like. We're just showing you, but why? Why? What would be the point of this? If these guys are so advanced, why are they coming here and mess? There's obviously a reason. Nothing is done without a reason. Okay, so these things are likely the armies of Mashiach. Okay, and who are they? What are they? Right? What are the armies of Mashiach? It's the people from the previous cycle being led by Mashiach. And it's possible that they have made contact, right? And formed, I guess you want to say, working relationships with some of the people from our cycle, some of the human beings, like these angels, right? These forces that Mashiach is using, right? Has made contact with and have kind of blended with, to a certain extent, some of these people that we're talking about, some of these physicists. They were given this knowledge, this physics that the rest of us don't have access to and is being hidden from us. Right? Yeah. As part of the preparation for revealing to us, to all of humanity, what has been going on, what things, that it's Mashiach all along, that it's been Mashiach, like, following God's orders and kind of preparing this whole situation. So that's kind of like a very rough description of what Richard Dolan might be looking at as the breakaway civilization. Okay. Now, I'm sure that even if that scenario is playing out, I'm sure that there's a lot more going on to it than that. And I'm sure that there's probably some opposing, some factions which are not exactly cooperating with that whole thing. There could be externalities that are kind of, trying to get in. We're talking about the Sitra Achra right now, of course. Okay. Which might explain some of the other stuff that these guys are describing. There's a new whistleblower. His last name is Brown. And he was on, he came forward to that guy, Jeremy Corbell, and that journalist, George Knapp. Now, I'm talking about this. I'm not necessarily fully trusting everybody that we're talking about here. I just find it interesting that a lot of what they say certainly seems to overlap with what the Torah says. That's my primary anchor in this issue. That's kind of why I'm paying attention to it in the first place. Because, like, boy, a lot of the stuff they're saying sure sounds eerily familiar. It sounds a lot like what the Torah says should be happening around the time of Mashiach. Okay. And so this guy is saying, do you think you could find the latest episode of Weaponized?
Weaponized?
Yeah, the Weaponized podcast on YouTube. I got to get the charger for the computer. I'll be right back.
You talking about Jeremy Corbell? This?
Yeah. I'll be right back.
Immaculate Constellation. This is UFO whistleblower goes public. Uh-huh. Hmm. Yeah, there's a whistleblower named Matthew Brown who came out recently. What I understand is like there's only really one news agency covering this, which is News Nation, Cuomo. Everybody else is not covering this for whatever reason. I think they're the ones that are allowed by the higher ups to cover it, so to speak.
When you just said the higher ups,
Yeah.
you don't know how right you might be.
I know.
Because we got to talk about, like, we cannot end this episode without talking about Eric Davis.
Yeah.
I mean,
sure.
All right.
So should I play this whole episode? I mean, this is 45 minutes.
Oh, no. I just maybe like a minute,
Okay.
just to get a description of who this guy is.
I mean, there's clips of him on Twitter.
Yeah, I know.
If you want me to pull those up.
What's his name again?
Matthew Brown.
Okay, I'm gonna look for clips.
All right,
Okay.
I can find them.
No, because there's one in particular I'm looking for.
Hmm.
Because I want to boil it down for the folks at home, because there's a lot of, like, the stuff that we see during the week, we process it, we filter it. We
Yeah.
want to bring you the most important of it. But what he said, I actually posted as like a quote. One second.
The sentient life thing. Yeah. This thing that you sent me. 25 minutes. Unfortunately, Red Panda Koala posted this.
No,
It doesn't
not
matter.
that. Not
Oh,
that.
not that? Okay.
I'm just no. It's like a little like meme, not a
Huh.
meme, but it's like a quote. It's like a picture of him.
Mhm.
Oh, I think one second. It was from today.
AI system. I mean, you sent the one where he's like, something like we are the energy or something like that, or we're the.
Yeah, that's what I'm.
This is what I found. Yeah, that's what I found on here. Yeah, it says the reason they are here is us. This one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what Panda Koala was here.
Why are they here? Why don't they show us what's going on?
I think I have a good degree of confidence that the reason they're here is us. I think life, especially sentient life, is a precious thing. And I think to some, it might be a resource.
Why are they here? Why don't they show us what's going on?
So, okay, now can you find? Okay, excellent, wonderful, folks. Take that, what you just heard, and now combine it with this one. Can you find clips of Whitley Strieber?
Who?
Whitley Strieber.
How do you spell that? Stryber. Okay.
Strieber.
This guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
he was on this Chris Ramsey podcast, where he was talking about what the aliens who he's like considered a famous abductee. He's like the most famous. He wrote a book called Communion. It was like a worldwide bestseller.
So what is he saying in this clip?
So how long is the clip?
I don't know. There's a few. There's different things, different podcasts that he's speaking on. There's one that's it's just him for like a minute. Tibetan practices, Tibetan practices, acolytes.
One second. I may have bookmarked it. Not that. Yeah. See this one?
Direct contact with aliens.
Yeah, this is, I mean, that's probably the entire podcast, but the clips that I'm talking about were from that particular, because that one just came out.
Yeah.
So Um,
This
how
thing?
long? 2 minutes? I think
Yes,
that might
this is it. Okay.
that might be the one. Yeah.
Okay.
Shops, I've seen them in a shop stealing things while controlling the minds of all the other people in the shop. All of a sudden, a man, a ridiculously disguised gray, and this gigantic little boy show up. What is going on here? Then the gray and the giant little boy start playing patty cake. And they start playing patty cake, and their hands start to move so fast it's making like a you can't see their hands. A crowd gathers. I mean, we're in an airport at the baggage claim area. It's not secret. And people are watching this, and they're clapping, and the little boy sort of bops a couple of times and turns and walks toward the wall, and suddenly he's just gone. And the guy beside me says, "Did you see that?" I said, "Yeah. I think they want companions," as I say, but they'll take slaves if they don't get companions. I know them too well.
What does that mean, they'll take slaves?
That means soul slaves. That means they'll take over your soul. You for certain it was not a human being.
How did you know?
I can't get into that, but suffice to say, it was in a situation with a. It was in a situation where I was once involved in this with some people from the Defense Department. He was a Nordic.
Was there anything particular about this being that felt unhuman?
His eyes. On occasion, people have come into physical contact with the Greys after meeting me. Maybe it'll happen to you.
What's the end look like?
You have to look at yourself. It's you becoming self-aware. You. Chris.
Okay, so some of the stuff that he said there,
Yeah.
and that's not exactly the clip, but he said some of the stuff
Yeah.
in this clip that I wanted people to hear. Now, in order for any of you watching this to care, you got to kind of have some background about who this guy is.
Mm-hmm.
He wrote that book Communion, I think, in the 80s.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very, he claims to have been abducted by aliens, and somehow, for some reason, that book struck a chord with millions of people around the world. And there's a lot of witnesses to his abduction. Like even his neighbor. This happened in upstate New York during a time when people were reporting a lot of different. There was like a UFO flap.
Yeah.
In the 80s, around the Hudson River.
A flap? What do you mean by flap?
They call it a flap, meaning like when there's a whole bunch of sightings all around the same time.
Yeah.
So there was like a big UFO flap, they call it, in the Hudson Valley, Hudson River Valley, in the 80s, and that's when he was abducted during one of those. Anyway, so he's like famous. He's been on a lot of podcasts. And,
he has a house. There's like a whole thing. You can go to like a house. It's called unknowncountry.com. Had his cabin in upstate New York. Had often groups of friends to see if it would be possible for them to encounter the visitors. One such event occurred in autumn of '88. The Strabers' friends Raven, Dana, and Lori Barnes had been staying at the cabin and were wakened in the middle of the night, confronted by the physical presence of the visitors. The events are described in Strabers' book Breakthrough and are the subject of a Dreamland special. Says these cabins. This is the cabin where the Whitley Strieber, here I'll show you, experienced the December 26, 1985 close encounter that led to the writing of Communion and a long series of encounters and interactions with unknown beings that resulted in the further book's transformation and breakthrough.
All right, like his neighbors, they claimed later that they saw the ship, floating, whatever. So
the cabin is near Kingston, New York.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So basically, he keeps saying that these things are, and he's not the only one. A lot of people, even George Knapp has been saying that a lot of people feel that they derive some kind of sustenance, or they harvest something from humanity, from some kind of emotional product. that they somehow use. And he was saying that these something that they crave companionship, but and then if they but they'll take it, you'll become a slave to them, right? He uses that kind of terminology.
Yeah, yeah.
But he also said that for people who deny the reality of their soul, that they would take the soul of those people and use it.
Yeah.
So let me repeat what I just said. I just find it interesting. He said they want companionship.
Yeah.
They use some kind of derivative from people's emotions as some kind of sustenance.
Yeah.
Any of this sounding familiar?
Yeah.
And they will commandeer souls if from people who deny the existence of souls and spirituality. He's describing the klippa. He's describing the Sitra Achra like to a T. Isn't that right? What does the klippa do? Do you remember what Rabbi Kessin said? He said that it feeds off of people's sins. What that means is there's some kind of when somebody sins, right? Obviously we have to go into what that means, sinning, right?
Yeah.
But when a person sins, there's a byproduct of that, which feeds these demonic entities, which are called the klippa.
Yeah.
Klipot, the Sitra Achra, right? The side of the negative forces. Okay. And
a lot of noise in the background.
That's my wife. She's come to. Honey, I'll clean up if you want. I'm being ignored. That's great. Thanks for ignoring me on my podcast. Appreciate that. She might be listening to something.
Frank, I'm going to ask you a question.
Wait.
Saying,
so basically, So we have, and then he said that they would enslave people, right? They would take slaves, and that's exactly what the rabbis described that the Sitra Achra does, that the klippo, that people who sin all the time, right? They're feeding the Sitra Achra, and the Sitra Achra wants to continue being fed. So it's like the more you sin, the more these things feed off of you, and the more they want you to sin. So they'll help you. It's like a drug dealer who will keep feeding you like drugs and make you more and more addicted, and make it harder and harder to break away. It's a type of slavery. And then it says that they'll take the souls of people who deny. This is what he said in another clip. It'll take the souls away from people who deny spirituality, the reality of spirituality. And so he's describing the type of people who are most susceptible to these things. He's describing a Sitra Achra. That's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Okay. That was my point.
My question to what you're saying is, the risk of going a little too personal. I dated somebody not too recently, but fairly recently, a person who has what's called borderline personality disorder. And one of the, I guess, things that happens is, the primary, kind of marker here is what they do is they do what's called love bombing, right? They love you, they can't live without you, they can't wait to see you, they miss you. Not only that, you are, for a certain period of time, whether it's a couple of days, a week, you can do no wrong in their eyes, right? You're the smartest, you're the best, you're this, you're that, and the other. They lift you up, pump you up, whatever it is. And then one day, out of nowhere, right? It's almost like you're a stranger to them. It's almost like everything you do is, doing is that you can do no right, or you have to do this in order to, make them feel comfortable with your, like very existence basically. And it goes back and forth this like this. It's just this roller coaster of whatever this is, right? Um, to me, it seems like, and by the way, the person that I dated was a very, spiritually tapped in person. You could tell they are. But it seems like it's like we have this concept in Judaism called a dibuk, where basically it's like a famous thing that, unfortunately in some of these like, Yiddish theater, secular Ashkenazi people like to write books and produce plays about the dib, there was even a play called the Dib Book, right?
Yeah.
But really what it is like some kind of possession. Like it's almost like they're possessed, well, you could say demonic possession, but it could be some other type of possession by some sort of force, and it's almost like it's not the person. And by the way, why do I say this in this particular case? Because when the relationship ended, this person told me, first of all, this person, it's almost like they had no control over their own some of their own, let's say, faculties in terms of like emotional, or even what they were saying to me, like meaning what they were saying to me, they knew wasn't true, or the accusation they were making against me, let's say, they knew was not true. That literally the diametrical opposite is true, right? But they couldn't control it, right? And then they would say to me something along the lines of, or they wrote to me, "I will always love you," right? Something like that, like that song by what's her face, Dolly Parton. And then later on telling me that, because this happened right around, the holiday of Tu B'Av, which is basically like the most, I guess you could say like the most romantic day on the Jewish calendar. They told me that the person told me that they spent 2 hours on the floor on Tu B'Av, on the night of Tu B'Av, crying over this loss. So it's almost as if the conscious part of them, the spiritual, the part of them that's connected to God, is crying over the loss of somebody, namely me, who could be there, what we call zivug, right? And yet this demon inside that manifests itself as this issue, this clinical issue, is controlling them and not allowing this to proceed. Um, and so my question is, man, you saying these things, when you said you were referring to things that take over people who deny God. Here's a person that does not, it's at the opposite. The person does not deny God. But it seems like there was some trauma there in the childhood or whatever, wherever this was, whatever happened, and recently, and it attracted, or it made some kind of being graft itself onto this person, to where they cannot have proper, they literally can't, because how do I know that? Because a person who recently was engaged to this lady reached out to me because he is obliterated and damaged to no end, and he has, people who are, like who dated these kind of people, they come away with PTSD. Like, I don't know if you noticed, dude, like for the past year and a half, it took me about a year and a half just to heal from this. I didn't want to date anybody after that stuff, because I was like, you get it's a rewiring of the brain, of the psyche, of the brain, of self-esteem, of I don't know, uh, yeah, even confidence, like or in my case, it's like, what's to say that it's not going to happen again with somebody I really like, and this whole narrative, right? You create a narrative. If it happened with this, and in my case, it happened with somebody I was engaged to, like some years back. So it's like now we enter that realm, right? So this is a person that's connected to God, and something has, you know, octopused itself onto this lady, unfortunately. She can't have relationships. She can't have relationships.
Okay, so hear me out. Number one, I don't know. Okay. Number two, when you mentioned a dibuk is never a demon.
Okay.
Not one of
I
these
don't
things.
mean demon. I don't know what terminology to use.
No. A dibuk is not a dibuk is is always a human soul.
Yeah, dislocated soul of a deceased person.
Right. That attaches itself
Yeah.
to a living person.
Correct.
Right. It's never something non-human.
Yeah.
It's usually a very wayward human
Yeah.
who was not even allowed into purgatory.
So it may be that. Yeah.
So I'm not saying that that's not what
Yeah.
was going on with her.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I've heard that in this final generation, right? In this generation right now, right? That
Yeah.
is right at the very, very, cusp of the coming and the full revelation of Mashiach, that a lot of people are riddled with deep books.
Yeah.
Because it's essentially part of their rectification, waiting for the final redemption.
Yeah.
The soul, the consciousnesses
yeah.
of these people. Now, I don't know if that's like a widespread phenomenon or with just. I don't understand.
It seems to be inflamed.
How prevalent it is.
Listen, man.
So
it seems to be very prevalent now.
Okay, dude. I don't know if that's
my personal experience.
I think that there are some people who now this other thing, what this guy was talking about, right? With these beings that attach themselves, and they most of the time, right, based on the Sitra Achra, they're not like manifesting to you as like separate entities that you can interact with.
Yeah.
Most of the time they interact with you as some kind of like inner voice or something that you think is you.
Sure.
Pushing you to do something.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like porn. That's the standard.
Yeah.
Porn demon. Okay.
Yeah.
That's the standard thing, not standard. It's not standard.
It's become common, yeah.
Common. Let's put it that way. Not normal, not average, just common, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's mostly that kind of stuff. Okay. And most people are not, they kind of stay in the background because it's sort of like feeding off of like a herd animal in a sense. So you don't need the cows to notice you.
Yeah.
Right. You can kind of like, the animals just could be grazing.
Yeah.
You'd prefer them not to be aware of you until you need to come and, milk them or whatever. Okay. Sorry to use that visual. Okay. And it would be better if you can harvest whatever you need from them without them even noticing you're there. Right. So it's better than milking a cow.
Yeah.
Right. So they're kind of using us as herd animals, but and most of the time they don't make their presence visible. Okay. So, and by the way, these type of beings, not all of them are involved in this thing. The Torah talks about different species of beings, right, which are called shadim, and that's not like the name of a species. That's a name of a category.
Yeah.
Of a type of beings that live in dimensions that we cannot see, but they live like here with us, but in aspects of of our spatial dimensions that we don't have access to. Okay. And some of them are involved in this. Some of these species, or some portions of species are involved in what we're just talking about, and some of them are not. Some of them are completely have nothing to do with us. Most of them, in fact, as it's been explained to me, have nothing to do with us. They got their own stuff going on, and the ones who are involved are essentially working for the Sitra Achra department, which is run by angels. Certain angels, a certain department of angels. It's called the Sitra Achra. I call it the Sitra Achra department. people might be asking, why are angels running? Why are angels involved in this? Because this whole like sinning thing, right? They're the ones who facilitate it. Why? Well, because that's the only thing that provides free will and free choice.
No.
If there wasn't the ability to sin, then there would be no way to make a choice to obey God. And why is that important? Why does God need that? Why does that exist? Well, because God wants people to choose to have a relationship with him.
Yeah.
The way we express that choice is by not sinning, staying away from evil, and doing good meaning God's will, what he expressed he wants us to do in the Hebrew scripture.
Yeah.
Okay. So the only way we can make that choice is if we had an alternative. But if we choose the alternative, we're feeding that system. We're feeding these like parasitic entities who kind of want to keep feeding off of us. So they'll keep like, we've talked about this like many times, but basically, for somebody who's just tuning in, they're wondering why, what is this all about? It's really all about free will. Okay. So now, before you said that, the higher ups are deciding stuff, right? I sent you something. This is something that Eric Davis just said during a congressional briefing. Yeah.
Releasing the information is driven strictly by the UFO itself, phenomenon itself.
And this guy also said, can you type in like Eric Davis 4 species? He literally.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if we should.
He confirmed that
yeah. Folks,
dude, this should be all over the news. This is infuriating.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Greys, Nordics, reptilian, and insectoid. Insectoid.
Right. There's clips of it, of him talking about it.
Yeah.
Do you think you can find a clip?
Of course. Yeah, here you go. There you go. This is like in Congress.
That's Congressman Burleson.
Yeah. It's very quiet, but whatever. Here.
Yeah, the audio is bad.
Hold on. You know what? Let me find some. There's other clips of that with like normal. Like crap.
Actually, no. Like I listened to most of this whole thing, and the audio is just.
Here we go. This is a little bit better. With this koala guy again.
Whatever.
Are they multiple species? Are they what was their size and how many are usually on a crab?
They're typically the multiple species. People are familiar with the Greys, the Nordics. People are talking about reptilians.
The Greys, the Nordics.
Not that they're reptilian or insectoids, that they resemble to the recipient.
Can you stop just now? Can you stop? He said people talk about the Greys, the Nordics, right? Like the white looking blonde people.
Yeah.
The insectoids and the reptilians.
Yeah.
And what he just said was, he said that they're not really reptilian and insectoid. They just sort of resemble it.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah. Fascinating. Okay.
Because they have a head and 4 limbs and torso.
He said they're humanoid.
Mm-hmm.
Human size, human scale.
And how many are accrued?
Well, the Greys I'm familiar with from investigating the crash at Corona, which is misnamed the crash at Roswell. It's not the crash at Roswell, it's the crash at Corona in Mexico. Those were Greys, those were 4 foot tall. And the Nordics are typically human size, probably, I've heard 5, 6 feet tall. And same with the people who mislabel reptilian and insectoid, they're roughly that height too. I haven't heard anything about anything 7 or 8 feet, 9 feet tall.
Okay, so so I want to say so this is really stunning because this is the part of like ufology that I always kind of dismissed.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, they're Nordics, and
Yeah.
then this is Star Trek. Can we, like I dismissed that whole aspect of it.
Yeah.
But I would say that I'm stunned that he said this.
Yeah.
Now people who are tuning in for this, they don't like who the hell is Eric Davis?
Yeah.
Eric Davis, Dr. Eric Davis is the guy that you just listened to. He's testifying to congressmen, okay, sitting next to a Navy admiral. By the way, the guy to his left was a Navy admiral, Gallaudet, and then the guy sitting even to the left of the admiral is a guy named Avi Loeb. He was the chief astronomer of Harvard. He's like the head of the astronomy department of Harvard University. He's an Israeli guy. Okay, cool. Is there like a biography of Dr. Eric Davis that we could just read, just so people understand why it's significant what this guy said because of his caliber of who like who this guy actually.
Dude, if this is the same guy on LinkedIn, there's an Eric Davis. Yeah.
Doctor?
Huntsville, Alabama.
Oh yeah, of course. Of course. Of course.
Aerospace Corporation, senior project engineer in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah, that's probably something that he just does now, but like
no, he started it December 2019.
Yeah, I'm talking about like his work for like the DOD.
Yeah, DARPA here.
Yeah. Okay. No, but he's
Bigelow Aerospace. He works. Speaking of which, he was there.
He was working on Bass.
Yeah. Eric Davis joined DARPA in February 2024 as a program manager in Strategic Technology Office. His research interests include AI, cognitive science, human-machine teaming, and data. This is a serious person who's talking about these beings. He was the principal scientist of artificial AI, machine learning, and human machine at Galois, where he led programs that focus on creation of cognitive architectures to allow next-generation artificially intelligent systems to team with humans in real-world environments. Prior to Galois, Davis was a professor and director of trustworthy data. This might be a different person. I'm very sorry. Or is it the same person? It sounds like a different person.
Is there a picture?
There's no picture, but it's just DARPA, and then it's I think it's a different person.
Why?
Because this is a person who's an faculty member. He went to a bachelor's in computer science at College of William and Mary, and doctor in computer science of University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. The Eric Davis that we're talking about, he went to University of Arizona, and he has astrophysics. This is a different Eric Davis.
Oh, okay.
Here we go. Okay, ResearchGate. And we've noticed some unusual traffic coming from your network. To continue. Okay. Fascinating. Okay. He has a lot of papers. Review of stable transversal wormholes and gravity theories. August 2024. Wormhole stabilization, May 2024. General relativistic faster-than-light propulsion for interstellar flight. This is like a paper. January 2024. These are all like his research papers. Scalar curvature invariance in classical and quantum gravity, June 2021. Warp drives. This guy's like researching like Star Trek level stuff.
Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
Can I found a decent biography. Okay, Dr. Eric Davis received his PhD in astrophysics from University of Arizona, like you said. His fields of specialization include spacecraft exploration, the outer solar system, planetary sciences, relativity theory, cosmology, space mission engineering, and NASA breakthrough propulsion physics. Eric is a research physicist at the Institute for Advanced Studies in Austin and Earth Tech International. He's also the CEO of Warp Drive Metrics, Austin, Texas. He contracts with and consults to the Air Force Research Laboratory, Propulsion Directorate, Propellants Branch, and the Department of Defense. That's DOD, yeah. During 1996 to 2002, he was with the National Institute for Discovery Science in Vegas, where he served as the staff aerospace astrophysics researcher. He also participated in and consulted to the NASA Breakthrough Propulsion Physics Program and co-founded the Advanced Deep Space Transport Technology Assessment, Breakthrough Propulsion Physics. He began his graduate work in 1984 as a mission support and research assistant with the Infrared Astronomical Satellite Group at the Steward Observatory in Tucson. In 1985, he joined the Voyager Ultraviolet Spectrometer Experiment Group at the Lunar and Planetary Lab in Tucson, where he conducted research on Jupiter's magnetosphere, the Uranus and Neptune planetary encounters, and participated in Voyager 1 and 2 space mission support. Following completion of his doctorate, he became an associate faculty and interim director for the Arizona Astronomy Education Center at Pima College in Tucson. In 1995, he joined the Sciences Mathematics faculty at the University of Maryland Asian Division. That's funny, where he was stationed at the 8th Fighter Wing in Kunsan, South Korea. In that capacity, he developed Air Force-sponsored space mission engineering and Korean theater space reconnaissance training. Eric has authored papers and given recognized presentations on quantum vacuum, zero-point energy, traversable wormholes, warp drive, and antimatter propulsion, like all the stuff you said. He also been recognized by the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics for outstanding contributions to national defense and space public policy, and received recognition from the State of Arizona Economic Conversion Council for contributions to commercial conversion of small, medium space and defense businesses in Arizona. He's a fellow of the British Interplanetary Society, senior member of the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics, a member of the Association of Former Intelligence Officers, and member of the American Astronomical Society. He served in the capacity of CEO and chairman, as well as board of directors for these and other chapters, professional engineering organizations. Okay. He also is the protege of Hal Puthoff. And he did a whole bunch of DIA and CIA stuff. And he holds top secret clearances, above top secret clearances still. He's still working for the government and on black projects. Okay, so that's the guy who just told you that there's 4 alien races. That he was literally talking to a sitting congressman right now.
Yeah, he was sitting next to Avi Loeb, the physicist from Harvard, U.S. Navy Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, and then Eric Burleson of Missouri.
And that, by the way, that admiral is also a scientist. He's like a oceanic, whatever, like I forgot what his specialty was.
Can I play something from Eric Davis from a few years ago?
Yeah.
List of UAP-inspired advanced research projects. Here's a younger Eric Davis via the Magic KLAS 8-ball, showing serious pursuit of UAP technology by the People's Republic of China.
Teleportation has long been a staple of science fiction yarns. People are magically zapped from one location to another, or even to another time or dimension. Last year, a Las Vegas scientist wrote a paper for the U.S. Air Force that argued teleportation is an achievable technology and legitimate science. The report caused an international flap and was denounced as a waste of money. With permission from the Air Force, the scientist is talking publicly about his study for the first time. He spoke exclusively with the I-Team's George Knapp.
Teleportation is not a form of dematerialization, which is what the Star Trek science fiction method does. Teleportation says to take the animate or inanimate bulk object and literally move it. instantaneously across space, time, or through dimensions.
Eric Davis is no sci-fi fan. He was selected by the Air Force Research Lab to evaluate what the state of the art of teleportation is. Is it real? Could it work? And how could it benefit the Air Force? When his report was made public last year, it caused a firestorm. Critics slammed it as crackpot science, a waste of Air Force money. News organizations hounded Davis. Why risk such grief?
The Air Force's position is that we do not leave any stone unturned. If we are to find a new science, a new technology, new phenomena that would help augment and enhance or activate Air Force missions, then we must pursue those.
What Davis found is that there is a lot of serious research into teleportation underway all over the world. Hundreds of peer-reviewed scientific papers have been written in the past 5 years, and the results are encouraging. One option explored by Davis is a stargate, just like the movie, stepping through a gate into a traversable wormhole, then instantly teleporting to any other spot in the universe or other universe, even through time itself. Wild stuff, but even Einstein said it's possible. Another version might resemble the alien device in Contact that sent Foster on a wild ride through time and space. Initial research on something like this has already been done at the Institute for Advanced Studies in Austin. Most controversial was Davis' explanation of some research into psychic teleportation. He relied on declassified documents to show what the Chinese are doing in this area. Stunning results, according to U.S. intelligence agencies. It's not hard to imagine the benefits, if it ever works. Moving troops behind enemy lines without needing planes or ships, inserting spies into inaccessible spots, reaching out to grab wanted fugitives and then bringing them to justice. Whoever gets this technology first could in essence rule the planet, which is why the Air Force studied it in the first place.
The ballgame's over, absolutely. You would have a very covert, illicit means of effective surprise attacks, effective surprise abductions, kidnappings, and intelligence gathering, intelligence espionage, exactly.
So one thing to notice though, right? Like before buying into this whole thing, this crew has kind of been, they've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Like George Knapp, right? Then he brought Corbell on. You see, I didn't know that George Knapp, who's been talking to these kind of people, he's most famous for his contact with Bob Lazar. But I didn't know that he did an interview with Eric Davis way back in I thought Eric Davis kind of became known more like after 2017. Okay. So I believe in some level, right, on some level, that the stuff that they're talking about is true, right? But I believe that these people were chosen by the phenomenon, right, as personalities to present the story to us.
Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean they're not who they say they are, but on some level, they're like, you know those History Channel shows like Skinwalker Ranch?
Yeah.
On some level, this is one big Skinwalker Ranch where the stuff they're doing is real, right? But the reactions, like when they do a take, right, for entertainment purposes, right, to like show it to the public, that's rehearsed. Like it was planned to kind of like unfold this information in a certain way, right? To roll it out in a certain way. And the guy himself just said that the phenomenon is 100% responsible for the rollout of information. It's not the people, it's not the government that's deciding.
Yeah.
And before him, Jacques Vallée said that.
If that's the case, I don't want to say it's, because how I've been always like kind of half jokingly complaining to you about how
habeas corpus.
Yeah, all these well, besides that, all these hearings, and then they'll have these hearings in Congress, and then okay, Senator, now we're going to talk about we have to talk about further whatever you want to talk about in the skiff, in this room where nobody can hear us. So this is the most frustrating thing to me. It's not even habeas corpus. It's just like I want to. The American people have to hear that which is meant for the skiff. We are entitled to it. So no. So what I want to say is, apparently, based on what you just said, even the UFOs are responsible for that.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm saying, which should freak you out.
It does freak me out.
This is the
what?
element.
What, they've gotten into the brains of congressmen and the brains of these people that were testifying, or what?
Either they got into their brains,
What's going on?
or they literally had a meeting with them and said, "Okay, this is how we're gonna.
This is how we're gonna do it. You're gonna talk. You're gonna say just basic things, and you're gonna go into the skiff.
They gave them the program. They're like, on March 3rd, you're gonna say this. On May 7th, you're gonna say this.
Yeah,
you know,
the
and
Galactic Council or whatever the hell it is.
Yes, that's so that's, you see, like, you ever notice the different levels of, I'm not saying excitement, but concern.
Yeah,
you're like, ooh, whatever. I'm like, ah.
No, I'm concerned, but I'm like,
no, because listen.
Yeah.
Just whenever you hear something, whenever you hear one of these, like, you know, some kind of, there's a new whistleblower or there's a new hearing.
Yeah.
That's fucking aliens control.
I know that. I know that. What I'm saying is I think they're also controlling, not controlling, but they're also, it's almost like they're deciding, or God maybe is deciding who, like, it almost seems like, I'll tell you something.
Wait. Rewind. It almost seems like, finish that sentence.
Yeah. It almost seems like he decided that you're going to be more excited about this than I am.
No, until you realize that it's not the people deciding this.
I get you.
Hey, it's almost like we learned that God's in control of everything in the Torah.
Yes, right? Yes. No, what's funny? Like in the beginning of the Ukraine-Russia war, now my parents changed their tune because they realize what's happening with this whole Zelensky thing and all this stuff. But in the beginning, they were very, concerned about, first of all, they were very concerned because they hate Putin, they hate KGB. They were very concerned about like their friends in Ukraine. They were very concerned about Ukraine in general. They were, a lot of people thought that Putin was going to go, I don't know, to like the Baltic states and he was going to go attack Poland and this and that, which I think was like, I was talking today to my mother about this. How did you even think this? Well, a lot of people were saying it and that. And I'm thinking to myself, and back then I was even telling her, I know you want me to care as much as you do, but I can't force myself to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like they couldn't understand why I didn't give a rat's ass about Ukraine. Not that I even hate Ukraine or this or that. I just didn't care. I didn't care about Russia. I didn't care about Ukraine. I wanted them to, it's like Natan Sharansky famously said about Syria. I gave them both a bracha for success. Okay, I couldn't force myself to care, right? And it was frustrating them greatly. It was making them very, very upset. And it almost seems like it's a similar thing here where like I'm trying, dude, you see, like I'm really trying to get myself to give a rat's ass or to focus on the issue or to look at the thing or to look at, like you sent me a link to get excited about it, to do a dance, to do a jig.
Because you think it's coming from people.
No, even if now that I know it's coming from those guys, whoop-de-doo, I can't even see those guys. They're not even showing themselves. Show yourself. I feel like Homer Simpson's dad, yelling into the window,
Dude, but ultimately
screams at sky,
ultimately and immediately, God's in. If I'm right about who those guys are, right, then they're just following God's orders.
For sure they are. In which case,
you're still like,
no, I,
dude, if I'm right, it's the Marshmallow Man himself controlling the rollout of this information.
For sure. I'm not only very impatient, I'm very like, what's pissing me off probably the most?
Yeah, I know.
And I know that obviously they're responsible for this as well. the fact that there's only one news entity covering this. And we know that these news entities are part of the government. We know that. And the government sat down with these guys, whoever they are, and they said, you're only gonna we're gonna con you know, we're gonna contract, or we're gonna basically not commandeer. What's the word I'm looking for? We're going to um when they hired like Michelangelo to paint, what is that called? When the church hired him to paint.
Commission.
We are going to commission one channel to cover this. It will be News Nation, it'll be Fredo.
I know.
And it's just driving me berserk.
That the Fredo thing.
Yeah.
That's really God's sense of humor.
Yeah.
Which I think is a little difficult for me to
yes
to handle.
And his brother and all whatever with the yeah.
By the way, something interesting happened today. Just on a side note, I don't want to get into this, but I saw Stella Emanuel post on Twitter that she's I was literally stunned on one hand. She's like, hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin can treat RSV and the flu and COVID and everything.
Yeah.
Nobody has said that except for my brother until of course she didn't mention it.
Well, we know the guy. Well, we know the guy who was appointed by Trump now. This guy, Stephen Hatfield.
Yeah.
Promoted hydroxychloroquine as an early treatment. It's interesting. This guy, they tried to slander him supposedly about, remember the anthrax thing like 25 years ago after 9/11?
Yeah.
And they tried to, and then he sued them, the government, and he won. This whole thing is crazy, man. It's all coming back in their face. But I don't know. We'll see what happens, man, when they release it. I guess I think Trump knows that, he's been watching Fauci talk about, there's going to be a new pandemic,
Yeah.
Predictions, Fauci's predictions.
Do you think you think any one of these like guys? I hope Stella Emanuel keeps promoting hydroxychloroquine and do you think any one of these guys is going to mention my brother? You're going to mention that the video that my brother,
like I've been saying recently. What did I say recently? You saw this on Twitter. I responded to Stu Peters. I said, when the resurrection of that happens, Dr. Zelenko is going to hit you so hard you're going to fly to Mecca.
Basically, I should expect treachery until that happens. Gotcha.
I don't know if it's treachery. It's just going to be just like
treachery. Okay. So these people only care about promoting, bolstering themselves. They only care. They'll literally step over anybody's corpse.
I know. Well, speaking of which, can we watch this India? Well, this is my depiction of India versus Pakistan.
Yeah. But hold on. Begin that. I'm going to be there's a clip from Terrence McKenna.
Oh, you sent
But I can't find it now.
Here. What is he talking about in the clip?
He's talking about the ascendants. It's really important.
Yeah. Was it ascending something? What was it? Was it Twitter or was it? Oh, here we go. I found it. 1998. This clip, right?
Yeah.
We're getting things are getting weirder.
45 seconds.
Yeah. Things are getting weirder and weirder. This whole thing.
Yeah. Listen to this guy.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, and at the same time, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, race bathing, homophobia, famine, starvation, because the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed. The collapse of the socialist world, the rise of the internet. I think it's just going to get weirder and...
That's it?
Yes.
No, that's not the whole clip. Then.
No.
No, the clip that I was talking about is like
Yeah.
it's
Well,
that clip.
it is this clip, but it's a longer.
It's like 10, it's like 20 seconds longer.
Yeah, 1 second.
Shit.
Hmm.
Because he talks
Here we
about
go. Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
This is 20 minutes long. 20 minutes, 2 minutes long.
Yeah, 2 minutes. Yeah.
Going to
It's
get
worth
weirder. The level of contradiction is going to
here we go.
rise excruciatingly, even beyond the excruciating present levels of contradiction.
Yeah.
I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. And at that point, novelty theory can come out of the woods. Because eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's just too nuts. It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. I look for the invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, possible human immortality, and at the same time, appalling acts of brutality, genocide, race baiting, homophobia, famine, starvation, because the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed. The collapse of the socialist world, the rise of the internet, these are changes so immense, nobody could imagine them ever happening. And now that they have happened, nobody even bothers to mention what a big deal it is. The mushroom said to me once, it said, this is what it's like when a species prepares to depart for the stars. You don't depart for the stars under calm and orderly conditions. It's a fire in a madhouse. And that's what we have, the fire in the madhouse at the end of time. This is what it's like when a species prepares to move on to the next dimension. The entire destiny of all life on the planet is tied up in this. We are not acting for ourselves or from ourselves. We happen to be the point species on a transformation that will affect every living organism on this planet at its conclusion.
So he said everything that we've been talking about, right?
Yeah.
And he also said that it's so weird that people are gonna be like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah.
It's like haven't we been talking about that?
We
That's
have
the
been,
Marshmallow Man.
but now it seems like people, they know it's weird, but they're afraid to talk. They're like afraid to say that it's weird for fear of being called a conspiracy theorist. Something
Okay,
like
so
that.
we're not at that point yet.
Yeah.
He's talking about the point where people are gonna be like,
Yeah.
they literally can't go back to talking about their stupid shit they've been talking about
Yeah.
for their whole lives. Even the most like brain blocked people who want nothing to do with this topic.
Like the people I meet on shul.
Yeah, like old Russian ladies at the doctor's office in Sheepshead Bay are going to be like,
Yeah.
"Что это?
Yeah.
Что происходит?" That's the Marshmallow Man.
Yeah.
That's when I say the Marshmallow Man, folks, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay. And he told him, the mushroom told him.
Dude, you know that I've told you this
many
times.
I'm really sorry.
Yeah.
I just realized that we're talking, we're like, oh, here's Terrence McKenna. It's very likely that most people that watching this have no idea who Terrence McKenna is.
Terrence McKenna is a person who got involved. He's like one of the kind of luminaries, what you would say, in the psychedelic world. Ethnobotanist. He called himself ethnobotanist and mystic.
He's a high-level scientist, biologist.
He's a scientist, but he's most known for his work with psychedelic plants and all this kind of thing.
Yeah.
He was called the Timothy Leary of the 90s. Intellectual voice of rave culture. Yeah. I first heard about him. I first saw his name from like people in the underground house music scene in the early 2000s. Terrence McKenna. People talking about, mushrooms and LSD and whatever. what is it called? Ecstasy and all these things. And now they're talking about ayahuasca and what is it? DMT.
Yeah.
So he's like a name in that. Mushrooms.
Yeah. He obviously went to Berkeley.
Yeah, of course. Listen, I mean, it's probably like, yeah. Notice he threw in like homophobia. I don't know. I'm like, what does that have to do with anything?
Well, in his mind,
Yeah.
like genocide,
Yeah.
because he's a California liberal.
Yeah.
In his mind, genocide and homophobia are on the same level.
Yeah.
Because
Well,
whatever.
Hitler did target gays, and also, dude, in America, there's this one event that happened, which got everybody to which got homophobia to become a thing. What was the event? The Matthew Shepard, this kid Matthew Shepard, who was killed in I think it was like Nebraska or something like that, for being gay, basically.
They tied him up to something, right? And he
Yeah,
died.
they tied him up and then he died, and a bunch of these, yeah, Wyoming, sorry. Student at the University of Wyoming was beaten, tortured, and left to die near Laramie, Wyoming. Yeah, he was transported to Fort Collins, Colorado, where he died from severe head injuries sustained during the attack. So this is like a famous story of this, literally a person who was killed just for being gay, kind of thing.
Yeah. I don't know if that's what he meant. Like homophobia is just literally.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like,
not liking gay people or something.
Yeah.
Whatever. But he was pretty much on the money. You know what I mean? As he's as close to the perception of what might be as a California Berkeley person has the potential to possibly.
Yeah.
Okay. So when I saw that clip, I'm like, wow, like now I'm not much of a, I'm not a follower of Terrence McKenna.
Yeah.
But when I saw that clip, I'm like, that he did a good job in describing, he's basically right.
Yeah.
When you're right,
Yeah.
you're right.
Yeah.
There's something I sent you that was the actual clip from that Whitley Strieber dude where he actually says would you mind like playing that?
1 second, sir. Let me find it. Yeah, this thing. Okay. Fringe.com. Yeah. I have to open it.
And then after that, we can finally play India versus Pakistan. I really want to see India. I don't want to see a war, God forbid, between India and Pakistan, but I want to see that clip.
Oh my God.
Now what?
Roseanne interviewed, you know who?
No.
Ian Carroll.
All right, whatever. That's fine.
I have a feeling they like tried to debug him.
Yeah, she's trying to
debug anti-Semites.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to work.
I agree.
I feel like they're just kind of using her.
Of course they are. But they're stupid. Oh, and of course he probably brought up Talmud, and she's like, "Yeah, I agree."
Oh my God! Please don't tell me she did that.
I hope she didn't do that. I really hope she didn't do that.
Can you watch the video and tell you, because I don't think my heart can take it. I'll be honest.
No, I don't think it's out yet. It was just a photo of them together. Whatever. Ay. Okay, let's see what you sent me. When is it from? Okay. Oh, this thing, food source. This thing, right? Yeah. We are the food. Yeah, the cattle. Something to do with the cattle.
But they're actually, the cattle mutilations are so mysterious, but they're actually not mysterious because blood of cattle is full of copper.
Yeah.
And they're using that as food.
Yeah, the bovine.
They're using the same food source we use, and we're upset about it, and they probably don't even realize that. I think they've used humans as a food source from time to time, too, but I don't think they do that. I think they figured out that, you know, either the ones that were doing that shouldn't have been doing it, or they didn't understand what we were. I think they want companions, as I say, but they'll take slaves if they don't get companions. I know them too well.
What does that mean? They'll take
that means
slaves?
Soul slaves. That means they'll take over your soul. You know, if you're relentlessly denying the existence of your own soul and pretending this is all technology and science as we understand it and so forth and all of that, they're eventually going to just say, well, hell, this soul is valuable to us and we're taking it. We're taking it over.
You got that?
Yep. Yeah.
Bro, you just bummed me out so bad, man. I don't know.
I'm sorry. I you know what I wrote to Jake and Roseanne? No. I said, did you debug Ian Carroll? I hope he didn't bring up the Talmud out of context and or fake verses that don't even exist. Listen, I'm actually very curious. I thought they were gonna bring in Kanye. That was my what's it called? Thought process here. Ian Carroll's I did that. That's a little bit of a, you know, little stretch. See, they're interviewing, you know, I have a friend in the pro-Israel space. She goes to me, why doesn't Roseanne interview you? I'm like, it's been in the works since last summer, and they keep putting it off and putting it off and putting it off. And now I'm just like, so they're interviewing this guy, instead of me. Instead of a guy who can talk about, you know, the Soviet Union and his parents being refuseniks and how the Soviet Union is the source of all this Palestinian crap and anti-Semitism and the word Israel is the aggressor and blah, blah, blah. Let's talk to idiots.
Well,
instead,
they have to think about generating views.
Of course, yeah. Who the hell am I? No, it's true. Who the hell am I? Even though they talk to traveling Klatt, you know, Tal Oran, this guy.
No, I don't.
He's like he has a nice channel about Israel and, like, you know, basically teaching people about Israel, all this kind of thing.
They have to generate views, but I think she thinks that she can, like, you know, fix these people.
I know.
But I really hope that she didn't talk about the Talmud, because I've been trying to talk to her about the Talmud.
I know.
And I now that you said that, I may
Well,
not.
Well, in a way, man, if they do, and if he says dumb shit and she ends up like,
he's definitely going to say dumb shit. My only
validating
fear
it
is that she's going to,
validate it.
Agree with him. So
then you can then you can do a video with her, and you can address the crap. Not only that he says, you can address the crap that people say. You can address in general her own misgivings about it and whatever it is, which are different from these idiots.
There's always a chance she's not going to want to talk about it with me either, you know, because it's like, really, the ball is entirely in her court, you know.
No, of course.
She has to want to engage in this topic, and I can't force it, obviously. So
yeah.
Oh man,
can I play this two Indian guys? But it's really my depiction of India versus Pakistan. This is my depiction of India versus Pakistan.
All right.
If you want to go, then you go to hill and go down.
Why you get fired,
yes,
man?
why? Are you crazy?
You're fucking paranoid,
You are fucking.
You fucking, you bloody.
You bloody.
You bloody. Bastard, bitch.
You
Fuck
bastard,
you. Bloody, fuck you, bloody.
Well, watch the head movements, by
fucking
the way.
mother, bloody, fuck, bitch.
Bitch, you
Bloody, fucking bloody bastard. Bench, bloody.
Banchot, you.
You bloody.
Bloody.
But why?
Bloody, no.
Why?
Bloody
Can
fucking.
if accident, then what you wanna
Why
do?
you fuck me? I fuck you, bloody. Bloody bastard. Fucking running like lady, eh? Bloody. What the fuck, man? Fucking now shout at me, innit? Why you shouting at me?
Because I am going to the work. If you want to do, you do to other places.
Why you shouting?
Because of this, you are doing. I don't know. You are doing like this. I think you are going to accident.
No,
Going to
shouting at
accident.
me no good, man.
No,
Me no shout
No
at
good,
you.
man.
But the thing is that, what you think if you do like this one, you are going at
Like
work
this
and
one.
somebody else.
But
do
that
like
one,
this.
if you running like that one, you gonna fucking fall, innit?
But
Hurting yourself.
but yeah, because of this, I saved myself.
That one very icy road, man. Okay, have a nice day. Bye bye.
You fucking okay. Man,
Yes. That's basically India versus Pakistan. There's just like, dude, it's amazing to me. We talk about, I was just thinking about this when we were talking about all these aliens and all these guys and this and that, and how humanity has to elevate consciousness and graduate. Dude, and then you think about, like, I was watching Lawrence of Arabia today, right? I started watching it, like the first half. I never seen that movie. And then, the British, the one thing I would like to agree with them on, they basically realized very quickly who the Arabs are. There's one part of the movie where Lawrence of Arabia just tells this guy, he's like, you guys are like, if you don't stop killing each other, you have intertribal warfare, you're never gonna figure this out. Like, you guys are savages, right? Straight up, it's like, this is a 1962 movie. So I'm thinking about, like, India, Pakistan. Dude, who are Pakistanis? Who are they? Do you know who Pakistanis are?
they're Indians. I know.
They're fucking Indians with Islam.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I know.
And then there's actual Muslims in India.
Yeah,
They're just Indians.
yeah.
No offense to any Indians watching this. I didn't mean to say, but it's like Russia and Ukraine. Oh, they're kind of different, oh, they're not exactly the same. It's the same freaking people.
Yeah.
So these guys are fighting, and it's like these guys are pissed that these guys are, doing, idol worship. Let's say Hindus, right? They consider Hindus, anybody who's really not a Muslim is an idol. Could be an idol worshiper. Hindus are especially to them are like, forget it, And yeah, I don't know how this is supposed to. I don't know how this is supposed to signify that these people have graduated in consciousness. You know what I'm saying? They just had like a dog fight last night of like 100 apparently jets versus each other, and it was funny because it's kind of like that video where, like, supposedly none of the jets entered the other country's airspace, and they fired missiles from like kilometers away at each other. And it's just like a guy, it's like one of these pilots, you bloody fucking, and he's like pressing a button, and then there was, you bloody fucking it, and they're just flying around like idiots.
You should put like somebody should superimpose that interaction.
Yeah.
Over the dog fight.
Yeah. You bloody fucking, yeah. Where are you going? You want to accident?
And then send that video to Pakistan and to India, and maybe that'll make them laugh.
Yeah. Dude, you want to see what happens? This ritual that they've had at the border.
Yeah.
Dude, this is like the perfect. It's Independence Day ceremony here.
Level of retarded.
Yeah.
On a scale that's too much to bear.
And this is a ceremony. This is like a ceremony that they have, like, whatever. Dude, this is Pakistan's, guys.
No, I think this is India.
This is Pakistan. You see the flag, the green with the crescent.
Oh yeah. Oh really?
These are Pakistan.
Okay. Oh yeah. You're right.
Oh my God, that cacophony. Ужас. Oh, these are the guys that are like. Yeah. Oh, this is just like Independence Day thing. Oh, okay, fine. Look at the high kicks.
Yeah. I hear bagpipes.
Yeah, they're playing bagpipes because they were conquered by the British or whatever. I want to show the part where they're like, it's like the two. Here we go. Yeah, there's the Indian guys. No, but this one is like very how should I put it? This one's more like protocol. I want you people to see like where they're like, no, it's not the one. There's another one where they're like literally just like almost like it's almost like they're fighting.
Yeah, it's like a dance off, you know.
Yeah.
It's like gangs in the '80s, you know. They instead of like killing each other, they decided to have like break dance.
Yeah, dance battle. Yeah, exactly. Oh, this is actually hilarious. Military parade. Dude, look at this. This is an Indian military parade. What the hell is this? The guy put circus music. He put circus music over the Indian military parade. What the hell is this? Look at No offense to any Indians.
No, it's like
here we go. This is the retreat ceremony. Here, Republic Day. I just want to get to a part where wow, this is like really super long. My God. It's like a 12-hour thing they taped. Holy cannoli. Yeah, this thing.
I don't know if we have time for that, Greg.
No. Here, I found the part where they're like starting their stuff. Here. Is it the dance off? The dance off. There you go. This is it. It just looks like guys who need to poop badly, you know? It's like who can high kick the highest, you know? Bloody Bob the Bloody. get to a part where the Pakistan is doing something. Yeah.
नीचे वाला खोलो नीचे वाला खोलो नीचे वाला जल्दी
Yeah, there we go. Anyway, I almost expect
I'm
the
like
guy.
stunned. I'm stunned by it.
I almost expect the guy from Street Fighter 2 to come out.
What's his name? Dalsim?
Yeah.
No, he was Egyptian though. I think he was like from Egypt or something like that.
Dalsim? No, it's India.
No, Dalsim was India. Oh yeah, he's the guy who
Yeah,
made
yeah.
his hands
Flame,
stretch out, right?
Yeah, Flame. Yeah, like legs and yeah. This guy.
Oh yeah, who was the Egyptian guy? It was
There was no Egyptian guy.
no, there was an Egyptian guy. The guy with the patch, with the eye patch.
He was Thai. Sagat? He was Thai.
Sagat. Yeah.
He was Thai. He
Oh,
was
that
the
was-
he was the like assistant guy of the main Thai guy, the general.
M. Bison.
M. Bison, yeah. Played by in the movie?
Raul Julia.
Yes. Guys, folks at home. Amazing. He plays a Thai general. Or I guess he's Thai. I'm assuming. Greatest speech in cinematic history, supposedly, allegedly.
My daughter is.
What an underrated movie.
It's
Street
really
Fighter 2.
bizarre. It's just
The road not taken. But why? Why do they still call me a warlord? And mad? All I want to do is to create the perfect genetic soldier. Not for power, not for evil, but for good. Carlos Blanca will be the first of many. They shall march out of my laboratory and sweep away every
Blanca.
adversary,
Yeah.
every creed, every nation, until the very planet is in the loving grip of the Pax Bisonica. And then peace will reign in the world, and all humanity shall bow to me in humble gratitude.
That was beautiful.
Oh, Zangief?
Yeah.
Sounds familiar, doesn't it? This
Yeah.
wonderful speech.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that they had a Zangief in this. Very
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, he was hilarious. That's the guy. You know what? Does that actor look familiar to you? The guy who played Zangief?
Let's
He
see.
played in Hudson Hawk.
I never saw this guy.
He was like the big
Maybe I
doofy
did.
CIA guy who kept
Street
calling
Fighter 2.
like their chief coach. Like
Yeah.
he used to play football.
Yeah.
It was like,
Yeah. Let's see. Who's this actor? Oh, Andrew Briniarski. He portrayed Leatherface in the remake of Texas Chainsaw Massacre and
who, Zangief?
Oh, this is where this guy is from. Remember this movie, The Program?
Yeah. He's a football.
Yeah, Steve Latimer.
He's also
The
in
linebacker guy.
Necessary Roughness. He was the cowboy.
Yeah. He played in two football movies. Yeah, I do. I love that movie. The
Necessary Roughness.
No, well, both of them, yeah. The Program, not Necessary Roughness.
Yeah. You say some sugar?
Yeah.
He's like, hurts when they poke you in the chest like that. Right?
Can I show you, folks at home? This honestly, when this movie came out, dude, Necessary Roughness.
Yeah.
My favorite character in the movie was Sinbad.
Yeah, I mean, well, he's all right. He's
all right. Yeah. Here.
he was decent in that movie.
Yeah.
He didn't
Yeah.
he didn't mess it up.
Here. This is the
Okay,
beginning.
Banks. Ready? Hut. Come on, Banks. You're supposed to be hitting the sled, not humping a butterfly. I want you mean. I want you nasty.
He's one of my favorite actors.
Yeah.
Get your ass out of here.
He sounds like a tiger.
Yeah.
No, you know his speech?
Yeah, what's up?
Andre does not eat raw meat because Andre is a vegetarian. Eat whatever the hell you want, Andre.
Andre.
It's amazing. Even when he's speaking,
Yeah.
just like calmly, he still sounds like a roaring tiger.
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
guy.
Yeah.
Can we listen to his speech, his pep talk?
Oh yeah, the pep talk.
Yeah.
Coach speech. Wally's pep talk. This thing.
Yeah.
What is this supposed to be? This it's supposed to be Texas State. The armadillos.
Yep.
Now, let's analyze what's been working for us.
Hilarious.
Not a goddamn thing's been working for us. Like this goddamn suit doesn't work for me. And this stinking tie. And this goddamn shirt. It doesn't work for me. You know how to play winning hard-nosed football?
Watch.
You play football like a Gennaro played football. A guy who gave his life for this football team. He was a 140-pound halfback. And he played like a goddamn wild man. No, like a goddamn rampaging beast. And that's the way you're gonna do it. You go out there, you tear their fucking heads off, and you shit down their necks. Let us pray.
To the next. Let us pray.
Man, I miss Robert Loggia, man. What a guy.
Dude, you know what's funny? It says the film touches. Yeah.
Dude, can I just say, is there another Robert Loggia?
There is no.
Is there anybody even remotely like Robert Loggia? No, there isn't.
No. There was not anybody remotely like anything. Yeah.
Those guys.
Dude.
So you seem distracted.
I'm not distracted. This is actually quite funny. Okay, Marco Rubio posted, "We're reviewing the visa status of trespassers and vandals who took over Columbia University." This is a whole protest today at Columbia University.
Yeah.
Pro-Hamas thugs are no longer welcome in a great nation. I wrote, "Sadly, many of them are white kids who are paid by orgs associated with George Soros." This guy responds, some other guy, "That crusty old Jew is paying people to be anti-Semitic? I've been doing it for free like an idiot. Where is he organizing all of this? I can just keep doing my thing while pocketing a couple of shekels." I just wrote, "I'm not a Jew, he's not a Jew anymore." So this guy's like hates Jews and wants to get paid for it.
Well, he should start a podcast.
Yes.
It's pretty common now.
Yeah.
I was gonna say let's play that Stephen Greer thing, but I don't really give a shit.
What's Stephen
I
Greer?
really don't give a
Which
shit.
one? Which one?
The clip with where they talk about Stephen Greer.
Oh, that whole thing, dude. Honestly, it's so like, it's almost like sophomoric, like, you know what I mean?
Oh yeah. By
Like
the way,
these guys-
last week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
No, I'm saying like last week we were kind of shitting on Lou Elizondo for that pick. He actually, we should maybe play his explanation of that.
Yeah.
Like he made an explanation video, not an apology video, but like kind of an explanation video.
Yeah. Nice. Dude, you know that in China, can I play this for the folks at home? I don't know if this is true, but I want to play this. 40 banks went under this week in China.
That was the site outside of China's most recent bankrupt bank, the Jiangxi Bank of China. And I wish I could say that this was the first bank that we've seen in China go completely insolvent, but it's not. Because as you can see right now, the banking sector for China is facing an all-out massive crisis where in just 1 week, 40 of their banks have completely disappeared. I have to repeat that. 40 banks have collapsed in 1 week in China. I mean, that is just total catastrophe for that entire economy. And I wish I could say that the Jiangxi Bank was just a small local regional bank, but it's not. Because as you can see, they were the 44th biggest bank in all of China in 2023. Now the question becomes, what's the root cause of all of these banks collapsing at the same time? And as you can see that China's smaller banks are already struggling with bad loans and exposures to the ongoing property crisis. And it gets even crazier than that when you look at these numbers. Because as you can see, some 3,800 such troubled institutions exist. They have 55 trillion won, which is 7.5 trillion US dollars in assets, which is 13% of the total banking system that have been mismanaged and accruing vast amounts of bad loans. $7.5 trillion. Wow. And keep in mind that this isn't good for anything going on in the economy for China or the world as a whole. So how will this impact the United States banking system moving forward? The answer is it shouldn't impact it too much. And the reason why is because we have a checks and balances system that happens within our banks where every year there's government oversight that happens within these banks that gives them grades and tells them if they need to make corrections based on their risk management and how they're doing as far as how close to insolvency they are. So right now, I don't expect this to impact the United States too much, but seeing those numbers with the Bank of China, I'm expecting to see a lot more Chinese bank collapses.
The thing is that these banks collapsed last year. There was this is something from like last year, so I don't know.
Yeah, they recycle a lot of stuff on Twitter. They show like old videos, to kind of like to generate views and stuff like that. Like it's called fear baiting or rage baiting or kind of stuff. So like,
dude, did you see, by the way, this sphere in Colombia? I don't know if it's like some art project somebody did or if it's like a real UAP.
I wouldn't. This is not. This is usually like where I'm like my.
You're like well. Let's see. There's somebody analyzed. Like one of these radiologists. Let's see what they say.
El jueves 1 de mayo del 2025, el señor José Luis Velázquez, especialista en rayos X, realizó una serie de sorprendentes pruebas a la esfera Buga, la cual cayó a tierra después de recibir una descarga de 10.000 voltios. Las imágenes obtenidas arrojaron resultados sorprendentes. En el interior se puede observar en el contorno en tonalidad blanca una densa capa que la rodea, lo que es indicativo de que es muy gruesa. En tonos más grises con menor densidad se aprecia otro material menos denso que confirmaría que la esfera no es hueca y explicaría su inusual peso, que se ha logrado documentar de manera inexplicable, es variable. Asimismo, se detectaron una serie de 16 puntos que rodean al núcleo. Esto se trataría de microesferas. Al mismo tiempo, se observó un elemento de tonalidad oscura que se distribuye en el interior de la esfera de Buga, que revela que este material sería el menos denso, quizá poroso.
La radiología es una herramienta no invasiva, como pudiste ver, solamente atravesó la pieza. Nos habla de dos densidades diferentes, tanto en una imagen positiva como en una imagen, esta es positiva, la otra es negativa, que denota una densidad de materiales diferentes, que sugiere que la pieza es una esfera externa más una parte interna. Aquí incluso si me acerco a la parte de este lado, hay otra densidad, ¿sí ven?
Sí.
Ahí se ve, la externa es una, luego hay otra capa más delgada, luego entramos a otra, luego entramos a otra. Hay como tres capas de diferente densidad.
También destaca la zona ecuatorial de la esfera, donde se contabilizaron 32 puntos distribuidos alrededor de la circunferencia. Asimismo, las observaciones en rayos X presentan que la distribución de los elementos es homogénea y que por su densidad pueden tratarse de metales. El investigador Nacho Rojo sugiere que por su composición, esta esfera pudo haber sido ensamblada precisamente para albergar en su interior esta clase de materiales. Se ha descartado toda posibilidad de que se trate de un objeto ornamental. De hecho, fue registrada desplazándose en el cielo sin elementos visibles que nos permitan entender cómo puede desplazarse en el aire. Asimismo, el investigador español señaló que no encontró en las imágenes evidencias de fragmentación o desprendimientos, lo que significa que la esfera de Buga se mantiene íntegra. Se apreciaron también los puntos que penetran la estructura de esta esfera en el área perimetral.
Concluyendo, doctor.
Es una pieza muy rara, diferente a lo que yo he radiografiado de diferentes cosas que he
Nunca
hecho.
había visto algo así.
Nunca había visto
Hey,
algo
Greg.
así. Te agradezco que me hayas
Yeah.
invitado a radiografiar.
Yeah. Go.
I don't know. You know, the Jaime Maussan fella, the guy who is like, you know, funding this and presenting this.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know. You know what I mean? It's kind of more like entertainment.
Well, it says a mirror. Yeah, see, a weird metal sphere just fell from the sky. Scientists are officially confused. It's made of 3 dense layers. It has a chip-like core, 18 tiny microspheres inside, no welds, no seams, and no signs humans built it. It's cold on the outside, reportedly hot inside, and may have vaporized water.
Hold on.
Perfect, and it's perfect internal symmetry.
Okay.
Oh, listen to this. Even freakier, it's etched with ancient runes. And
Yeah.
AI says the message is about unity, energy, and transformation. Cool, totally normal.
Yeah, this is like, sounds kind of like a new age kind of hoax kind of thing. Like, for instance, remember the mummies that they wheeled out like a couple of months ago in Mexico City?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
You're saying it's similar.
I feel like you're fading away, Greg.
I'm not fading away. I'm just looking at some of the posts about this.
So basically, you know, they made the claim that, they presented this in front of the Mexican Congress and this and that.
Yeah.
But really, they didn't. The Congress was out, you know, like it was not. They were just using the building, and there's so much like carnival barking when it comes to like this guy Jaime Maussan. And I could be wrong. I don't know, but it doesn't look like people are scared to, like any of the people that we were talking about, you know, kind of don't want to be associated with him because he's been caught supposedly, right, like hoaxing and stuff like that. He does this primarily for entertainment. So, and his videos are very entertaining. Like on YouTube, like it's full of his documentaries. And he catches like he's like the main. He's the guy who probably has the biggest collection of like YouTube UFO videos and stuff like that. Shit, some of squeaky scared the hell out of me. A lot of it, like they're very entertaining videos, but because I don't know, it's not worth.
Yeah,
like you probably be disappointed. You know, you know, like it's not like, because I've been looking at this topic since 2010.
Yeah,
you know, I've been like on a roller coaster up and down with this stuff. It took me a while, I think, to kind of be able to navigate it through, you know, what is kind of like what I think is worth looking at and what probably isn't. What probably isn't a good use of time if you take this topic seriously.
Yeah.
And of course, I could be wrong. I'm not, you know, because I could be wrong about the whole thing, period. But my overall feeling is perhaps there's better things to look at.
Yeah.
Especially when it's too good, like it's too good to be true. Like it's perfectly spherical. It's ornate. Oh, there's runes. And what do the runes talk about? World peace.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, like,
yeah,
I don't know. It's too much. So we didn't talk about Israel, which is okay, I guess.
Listen, The only thing I could say, I saw a video today of, not that I'm a huge fan of Netanyahu for many reasons. Uh, he came into court today and there's a bunch of ladies like, with their phones screaming at him. And only in Israel are actual, humans who look like chickens, or rather chickens who look like humans, actual chickens who were given, like the costume of a human, allowed to come into a courtroom and film and scream into the face of the prime minister or the president. Only in Israel.
Well, it's allowed if the left political class wants that to happen.
Yeah.
It'll never happen to their guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, Trump was supposed to make some sort of announcement.
I guess
There's a
we'll
couple
see.
of things we didn't talk about. Trump's big announcement,
Yeah.
which it looks like there's a press conference tomorrow.
Yeah.
Because earlier he said he's going to make a big announcement about a certain topic.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing because then all the UFO guys were like, oh, maybe is it finally, the UFO thing?
Yeah.
And then what's his name? James O'Keefe was supposed to produce something about Epstein. I think
I mean,
he
it's
got
stuff we
somebody-
already knew. He got some guy to talk about Prince.
Yeah, but he
what's his
got
face?
like Prince Andrew's
Handler.
assistant,
Yeah.
some kind of advisor, right?
Yeah, some American guy. Yeah.
This American guy who said that he was doing everything we suspected, and apparently he went into hiding for a week
Yeah.
before releasing that.
Yeah, and then Alex Jones was like a dead man switch or whatever. Basically Alex Jones said if anything happens to this guy, I'm going to be the guy to release all this information.
Yeah. I hope there's more to it because it's kind of something that everybody, I don't want to say knew, but I mean, for some reason that information was circulating anyway, right?
Yeah.
And everybody kind of believed it anyway. So
yeah,
I'm not sure what this accomplishes, and I'm not sure why O'Keefe would risk his life if it's just this. I'll be right back.
Well, yeah.
I can hear you.
I want to play a clip of James Lindsay and Jordan Peterson talking about the woke left and the woke right stuff. Frank is having a noisy moment.
Oh man. And a nose attack.
Yes. Hey, dude, I wanted to tell you that I mean, I think I mentioned this to you before. Doing this podcast ruined my social life.
Oh,
Not, you know what that means?
What, you were supposed to go to an event tonight?
No. It ruined my like it ruined me socially. Like I go to stuff, and I'm not saying this to like, blow smoke up our butts. I go to events, I go here, I go there, and the conversations that I have with people, here's the podcast, and here's the conversations that I have with people. It's unbearable, dude. And I'm not even asking for this. I'm maybe like this, but the conversations are here. Karate here, not here. Like
Well, bro, maybe
it's bad.
maybe if you look at it differently, maybe if you like, all right, do the podcast. We talk about we kind of hash things out. We try to understand things. We tease things apart. Do we get to the answer? Maybe not, right? But we try to analyze stuff.
Okay.
So if you could kind of like take some of this and then don't expect it from people, but give it to them. Make it. Yeah.
I try to do that. They think I'm insane.
Huh.
Listen, at the end of the day, it's sad to say this. Most people are just I don't know. They're just like, I go to these meals, I go to these, it's like even like one of these things like young professionals things, Shabbat, and I'm listening to the conversations and, it's like let's say if there's like a married couple talking to someone else. Oh, we're going on this whatever trip. Yeah, we went last year. What are you doing for the Pesach program? I don't know. This and that. Dude, it's just
Hey. Yeah, you got
you
to
see
figure
you
out
see my eyes glazing over like a
you got to figure out how to guide the conversation to where you want it to go, not to kind of like fall into the stale patterns of talk, you know?
yeah.
Like, if somebody says, like, Norma, you got to watch. I think I've said this to you before, maybe 100 times.
Yeah, I have to bomb.
But not in a while. No, not in a while. Watch Norm Macdonald in talk shows,
Yeah.
right? Where the talk show host is going to ask him a question, and you could see right away on Norm Macdonald's face, he knows that that's a boring question and it's not going to lead to entertainment. So
Yeah.
he just completely says
No,
something
but the
else.
difference is like no, I know what you're saying. The difference is David Letterman cannot walk away if Norm Macdonald says something weird. The girl in front of me or whoever, or even a guy, they can think, not that I care, but like they just walk away. The conversation's over. And this has happened. Or walk away or just kind of like not, peter out of the conversation, wait for another person to show up so that they can talk to them about their NPC stuff. Whatever NPCs talk about.
Hey, do you ever get the urge to wake up an NPC?
I don't know about urges, but I've tried and
It's kind of like breathing life into,
yeah.
it's like Johnny Five getting shocked with electricity. All of a sudden, he has a soul now.
Yeah,
Maybe that's what you got to do.
I guess.
Yeah, you got to want to do that.
I should be he's speaking of Indians, he's not Indian. The actor is actually white.
Fisher Stevens. Yeah,
I should become the Fisher Stevens of
I'm from Chicago.
Of Kiddush. Bro, I'm gonna show the folks at home what we're talking about here. This is a white actor, folks.
I realize
if this was tried today, there would be such an uproar. The best of Ben Jabituya. This is the character that here.
the name of the character played by
Fisher Stevens. Yeah.
A white man. In Indian face.
Yeah.
Well, the last time I am seeing him, he is busy vomiting.
Vomiting.
Well, the cat is dragged in a sack for 4 eyes, that is for sure. You look dreadful. Oh, Charo, this is a barrel of monkeys. Oh, let us go scrape up some female chicks. An opportunity to spread your legs. Good to smell the breezes, Girlie, come quick, girlie, danger. Come on, you. Oh, my God.
What planet is this guy from?
Oh, you are a girl, right?
Yes, as far as I know.
I am standing here beside myself. Oh, I am sick of wearing the dress in his family. Well, I have to go to the Jack, so we wait for me.
The John.
Bimbo. Oh, yes, you can say that 2 times. Bimbo. And plus, we are needing gas money. As we're fond of saying in my country, marketplace make dull home for rodents.
Where are you from, anyway?
Bakersfield originally.
No, I mean your ancestors.
Oh, damn. Pittsburgh. We are wasting valueless time.
Pittsburgh.
Not being a
Oh,
human.
damn.
It's only being wires and servo mechanisms and other such machine-type apparatus for the Peter's sake. This set of people. Bye-bye, goofy woman. I enjoyed repeatedly throwing you to the ground.
What you think?
I am thinking she is a virgin. Or at least she used to be.
Does?
Oh, her pants are blazing for you, Newton Crosby.
Will you grow up?
Did she stick her tongue down your throat?
No.
Come on, sit in the van and tell me. I want to know. Yes, sir. Yes, come on, Newton. Oh, my goodness. I am sporting a tremendous wood here. Those bunch of organs.
Right.
Is what I'm meaning. Oh, my goodness gracious.
Do now.
Well, I don't know about you, but I am planning to scream and run.
Good answer.
Oh! Oh! Hi, honey. What is for dinner? Hear my dust, Lieutenant Crosby. Let us break wind.
Break wind.
Maybe we have created another Frankfurter's monster. Oh, Bulldyke, you cannot hold your water with that scout.
Bulldyke.
This is very first vehicle I have stolen in US of A.
Me too. It's kind of exciting, isn't it?
With excitement like this, who is needing enemas? The heck, Newton. Let us punch the sack. Tomorrow is the next day.
No.
Punch the sack.
So now I am having no job to speak about. I will have to smack the sidewalk.
Right. Dude, it's amazing. Central casting. Whoever casted this guy for this movie is incredible.
Yeah.
Actually, if you think about it.
Yeah, how the hell did this whole thing happen? It's really astonishing,
How was Fisher
We need an
Stevens
Indian guy, Fisher Stevens. What?
cast as an Indian? Let's see. Let's see.
You know what? I know how it happened. Wait. I don't even need you to tell me. I know how.
No, listen to this. No.
His buddy
Yeah.
is like, he's like on casting. He's the friend of a director. He's
no, sir.
Listen. And he does a great Indian accent, and he keeps doing it at restaurants and making people laugh at parties.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I got a great idea for this guy.
No.
That's what happened.
Fisher Stevens' character in Short Circuit wasn't always supposed to be an Indian man. Ben was actually supposed to be a white grad student, but director John Badham decided that it'd be better to have the character be Indian. But in a move that makes absolutely no sense, instead of recasting the role to be played by an Indian actor, Badham kept Stevens in the role and he donned brown face. Production went above and beyond to make Stevens look Indian to the point where he looks and sounds unrecognizable and actually passes as Asian. In fact, Aziz Ansari, the comedian, wrote in a New York Times piece from 2015 that before learning the actor is white, he considered Stevens to be one of the few representations of Indian men in film growing up. He noted his surprise when he found out that the character he looked up to was actually a white guy who had to sit every morning in a makeup chair and get painted in Indian color before going on set and doing his Indian voice. Ansari interviewed Stevens, who ultimately admitted that yes, an Indian man obviously should have been cast in the role. It's been nearly 6 years since the interview with Ansari. In an interview with Yahoo, Fisher says he regrets the role. It definitely haunts me. I still think it's a really good movie, but I would never do that part again. He added the world was a different place in 1986. Obviously, yeah, it was a better fucking place.
Yeah.
This is a shift from his way of previously viewing the role. In a 2009 interview with the AV Club, he noted that how much he enjoyed the role and prepping for it. Back then, I loved it. I went to India and I studied Hindi. I got into yoga, and this is in 1985. I lived with Indian people. I really immersed myself. I used to be a total method actor, so I was really deep in the deep end, and I had a great time. And the malapropisms, they worked. I thought they were great, so I really loved it. He also mentioned that after making Ben Indian, Stevens was fired, and Bronson Pinchot, another white guy, replaced him. But eventually Pinchot was fired and Stevens was rehired.
Cousin
Balky.
Cousin Balky.
Yeah. Get out of the city. Yeah. Wow. So Badham had always intended for the role of Indian man to be played by someone who was definitely not Indian. Yikes. God. Yeah, the world was a different place back then.
The cult got to him.
Of course.
That's all it is. That's all.
Or he's just scared. He's just whatever.
Yeah. They promised him a role or something like that.
Or just, Dude, he's only 61 years old. I thought he was older. Fisher Stevens.
Fisher Stevens is only 61.
His name is actually Stephen Fisher, and he's Jewish from Chicago. The son of Sally and Norman Fisher.
He does look like a Jewish kid. He does.
Yeah. Talented guy. He played in Hackers. He played that.
Yeah, he was a bad guy.
Evil guy. Hackers. Short Circuit 2.
The most notable. There's two most notable characters. We talked about it before. Is his role in Mystery Date as the flower delivery boy.
Mm-hmm. Dwight.
Yeah, which was, I don't know. He made that movie for me. Like, you know, he's just like, and then he did this short-lived TV show called Key West, where he played like a writer. He revered Ernest Hemingway.
Ah, this show, yeah,
it was
comedy,
like a comedy.
Drama. Yeah.
I think it was only one season.
Yeah, it was 1993. I think I remember this.
Yeah, I really liked it.
13 episodes. And
I was 12 and I really liked that show.
who was
And when I went to when I was engaged with Hani, we went to Key West,
this guy Brian Thompson. Oh, that's cool.
and I thought of that show when I was there. I was like, oh yeah, kind of.
Yeah, this guy Brian. You know this actor Brian Thompson? He's in Cobra. He's in.
Wait, Brian Thompson. He's the scary guy.
He's like this dude. Yeah, he looks like his face was this guy.
The villain.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So he's in the show.
He was like he was all over X-Files.
Jennifer Tilly's in the show. I didn't know that. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It was a good show.
Yeah.
It was an interesting show.
Oh, this actor. I think I know this actor. Hector. Yeah. Gino Silva. Interesting. Yeah, I wonder why I was only.
He was like an aspiring writer, something like that.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, my nose is leaking nonstop. It's getting difficult for me
Yeah.
too.
Let me just play this short 1.5 minute clip of, and then I guess we'll call it an evening.
Dude, this is like a super long.
No, we started at 8:40. We started at 8:45.
Oh, so just a little bit longer than usual.
Right. Blew by. All right, we'll play this and we'll.
James Lindsay.
What I'm watching is all these moms. I'm hearing from these moms already who are telling me they aren't using this phrasing. This is my phrasing. That they by the grace of God, their daughters didn't get pulled into the trans destruction mania, and now they're having to watch their sons get lured into Nazism. And that's why I'm so worked up about this woke right cult of transgression. I get it. You're a 15-year-old boy, maybe you're a 19-year-old boy, or a 25-year-old, maybe you're a 35-year-old who hasn't grown up and got out of his parents' basement, and you think it's funny to post a mustache man meme or two here and there to rile up the libs and the normal people in the left and everybody else.
Plus, you're irritated that your identity has been targeted for 30 years.
Yeah, of course.
On racial grounds. Right.
Just like the way the Germans felt with the imposition of the Treaty of Versailles, if they saw it that way, whether we do or not, how the Germans felt about the French and broader Europe and the rest of their standing in the world.
Yeah.
And they were impoverished and they were broken down. It's the same powder keg. Or maybe that's not the right word. It's more like a tank of propane, because you're going to pump it up and get it to spray fire when it comes out the other end, right? It's like more like
one of the things people can watch for everybody who's watching and listening is beware of anything that's motivated by resentment. You know, the mere fact that you have had difficulties that are somewhat arbitrary, first of all, doesn't distinguish you from the main run of the human race. But if the motivation stems out of resentment, the probability that something horrible has got a hold of your soul is extremely high.
They're just talking about, they had a whole episode, I actually want to watch it, about the woke left and the woke right and all this stuff. And
the probability that something has gotten a hold of your soul.
Yeah.
Let's leave it at that.
Yeah.
Wow. That's been the theme of tonight.
That's crazy, right? What should I call the episode? Dibukim?
How about, dude?
The body snatchers.
The way you're naming episodes, we're not getting views. Just call it boobs.
Oh God. Okay.
Something like that. Something that like
invasion of the boobs.
No, like President Trump is the man. You know, MAGA. Like, can you just please get views? Can we get somebody to watch us?
By the way, YouTube sent me a thing that I'm not now apparently eligible for monetization. All I have to do is 12 easy steps of verification.
Yeah. Sign over your soul.
Yes.
Pledge never to speak about hydroxychloroquine or Dr. Zelenko.
Yeah, like they go, allow yourself to be invaded by a Dibuk and a couple of shadim, and then you could monetize your channel for 30 cents a video because you don't have any views anyway, so it doesn't really fucking matter.
So I gotta figure out how to get in touch with this Hatfill guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know, dude. I have a weird feeling. But let's see what happens. At least, you know.
I've been hearing about your weird feelings for 3 years.
No, meaning I have a weird feeling that whatever. He's not nothing's gonna happen with this guy, but like at least if there is a God forbid pandemic, he will push your brother's protocol. Oh, here we go. James Lindsay posted about the picture of Roseanne Barr and Ian Carroll. I think she tried to re-educate him.
Hopefully he didn't end up.
Yeah.
Wait, so what did he posted a picture of them with no caption?
Some idiot is writing. Yeah, no. He posted a picture of them too, like her post. Some idiot. It helps to explain that during the Nazi, Roseanne Barr here, much like Marx, is anti-Judaic, so she likes Ian Carroll and his anti-Semitism. Some moron posted.
Are we gonna have a Lag BaOmer special with her?
Yeah, next week was that show.
Oh, okay, good. That's good. All right. Hopefully the Marshmallow Man shows up.
Yeah.
Way before then.
See, the problem, whatever. The problem with people is that they're gonna see this, they're gonna be like, "Oh, she interviewed an anti-Semite."
Well, I mean, she did that already a bunch of times,
I know.
but it was usually before the reveal.
Yeah.
Right. This is her
Yeah.
first official after
her first official conscious anti-Semite interview. Lovely.
Wonderful.
All right,
And
folks.
Tommy, yeah. By the way,
What?
R.I.P. United Kingdom.
Oh yeah.
R.I.P. France.
Yeah. France is gone. They just hosted Giuliani, and we walked in front of the Eiffel Tower.
They will arrest Netanyahu, but they hosted a guy who literally just executed him.
Dude, I want to make a meme, post a picture of Hitler in front of the Eiffel Tower and then Giuliani.
Dude, I just want to say, and it's important for people to know, that I hate Macron's face more than I love life.
No, he's like in the film. He's like not the film. He's his consciousness is
his face. I hate it so much.
Yeah.
I can't. It fills me with rage, the sight of his face.
Yeah.
Like his stupid face is the most punchable face. Like he has the Frenchest face ever.
Yeah.
And I've been told that I have a French face by some people.
Yeah.
Okay. But his face is so French that it's painful.
Yeah.
I thought that was an important thing to say to people. It'll do good for the world and for my reputation to express those irrational, insane feelings.
You're right. You are correct, sir.
I hate his hair. I hate that guy's face. I hate his facial expressions or lack thereof. I don't know what else to say. I don't have the words to express how badly I want to see that person dissolve. Just dissolve.
Yeah. I'm in full agreement, sir.
It's not required, Greg, but I appreciate
it. Yeah, there's Giuliani. He went to the Eiffel Tower. Whatever. Why? It's like, whatever. Nothing can be said.
Why just France? Why him? Why Macron? I mean, I have not liked a single one of your leaders, but explain how did you generate that thing? Why did your country produce it?
Yeah. I mean, he's a genius. So he was labeled as like a child, not child, but like a teenage prodigy or something like that. Remember I read about him? He like dated his teacher. I mean, that's where he met this lady that he's married to. He was like 15 years old. You know,
He's like a caricature created by Sacha Baron Cohen.
I know.
I think he did it. Like, do you remember that Talladega Nights movie?
Yeah.
He played like that gay French race car driver. Like, that's Macron. Like,
He says, Macron showed us aptitude for literature, politics, and theater, even in his youth. He was a voracious reader and harbored ambitions to be a novelist. He wrote 3 novels as a teenager, exploring different themes and genres. He was a gifted student at private secondary school in France. He learned to play piano at the conservatory. Nominated for Concours General in French literature and highly selective national level high school competition. Whatever.
Great.
He was like one of these guys.
Just look at him, though. Seriously.
Yeah,
just
I
look
know. I know. Yeah.
Like France, you looked at the guy and said, okay, like that guy, really?
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. Well, you know, they're a bunch of hoity-toity fruitcakes. That's what they are.
I'll never forget that retard outside of the Bataclan massacre.
Yeah.
When Gavin McInnes, she's like,
is there a way to find this clip?
Don't get it twisted. Oh,
Is there a way to find this clip?
You know, I don't know. It's gonna take some time. It's out there.
Mhm.
You can go to like Rebel News. You know what? I think it was when Gavin McInnes was still a correspondent for Rebel News.
Let's see. I found something. Eagles of Death Metal remembers Bataclan massacre.
It's right in front of a fountain. Like there was like in front of a fountain.
Yeah. Let's see.
Don't get it twisted.
Let's see. Rebel News. Let's see. Katie Hopkins, Bataclan. This is. It wasn't Ezra Levant, right? It was Gavin McInnes. Frank went away. Frank has gone bye-bye.
Like, why don't you make Checky the prime minister of your country?
Why who?
Checky, you know, Checky.
Oh, Cario?
Yeah, that guy. Smotrich.
Oh, here we go. Bataclan Survivor. Here we go. Al Jazeera Plus. This girl? No?
No, it's Gavin McInnes. He's not going to be working for Al Jazeera. It might take some time.
Whatever. I'm gonna have to look for it. I'm gonna have to look for it. French treat Paris terror like train crash. Maybe this thing. Let's see.
Probably not.
Let's see. Oh my God. I think I may have found it. Let's see this. Anyway.
Bataclan, which is about as close as you can get to Bataclan. That's the theater that was Jewish-owned and had a lot of Jewish speakers and was a target for Islam for a long time. They actually have videos of them being threatened. A very exacted attack. And what a few people are recognizing is this was an exacted attack at hipsters, believe it or not. We're here at the 10th and 11th Arrondissement, which is sort of like the Williamsburg or the Cabbagetown or the Lower East Side, or, you know, every city has its sort of hipster area where the young creatives are, and they tend to be sort of on the outskirts of gentrification, and that area tends to be relatively multicultural. It tends to have a lot of moderate Muslims, and I think they attacked this area because they were hoping to polarize that community. They didn't attack the West End, right? Every West End in every city is the posh end. They didn't attack that. They didn't attack the Champs-Élysées. They didn't attack tourists. They focused their attack, these young 20-somethings, these terrorists, attacked their own kind, their own demo, their own age group, and they said, we're going to blow them up and incite terror here. And I believe that their impetus was, let's get the white hipsters to become radical right-wingers, and let's get the moderates to become ISIS. Sounds good to me. I agree with you. I'm on the same page as ISIS. I'm a jihadist. You say you want to fight. You say you want a war, as President Hollande put it, on dans une guerre. Yes, we are in a guerre, and I would love to fight you. I would love to extinguish your flame. Unfortunately, Paris didn't take the bait. And we've been talking to Muslims, we've been talking to millennials, we've been talking to hipsters, we've been talking to the people who are leaving these flowers. Look at this. It's a flag of Jim Morrison.
Yeah.
What the hell has that got to do with anything? All they are saying here is give peace a chance. They get attacked, and I'm at the point where I'm feeling sympathetic for the jihadists. They didn't want this. They didn't want a massive pile of flowers. They wanted a war. And the Parisians we speak to while we're here are encumbered with capitulation. All they do is blame America, they blame Jews, they blame the Crusades, they blame everything but the Muslims who attacked Paris. And I'm beginning to think they can't handle the truth. You know, I've had conspiracy theorists on my own show, and I've spoken to these guys who say, people don't shoot up schools, right? They say Sandy Hook never happened. And I think it's because they can't digest the fact that Sandy Hook happened. And we saw this with the 9/11 truthers. That couldn't have been so. That couldn't have been Muslims. It was pyrotechnics in the beams of the building. That's what really happened. And we're seeing this all over Paris. There's excuse after excuse about what happened. And there's zero culpability when it comes to Islam and Muslims. And it's literally at the point where the jihadists and ISIS are becoming frustrated because we're so weak. The West is so eager to kowtow to abuse that the bullies aren't getting the satisfaction of having the nerd cry. They're wedging a nerd, and he's saying, yeah, well, I had it coming. Whatever. For example, not one person we've spoken to, from the far right to the far left, to every Muslim who blames the Jews, not one of them has ever said, what if we were armed? We would have been able to shoot back. This has not come up once. And that is because guns in Paris have been scrubbed from the debate. Not one person in Paris wants a fucking gun. It's not open to debate. And I think the gun debate is a perfect example of how different North America, Canada and America, has gotten from France. Guns are not open. They're not part of this question. The other thing that deeply disturbs me is how eager everyone is to forget. This whole incident is treated like a train crash. 138, whatever the number is now, were killed in an unfortunate collision of ideals where an Israeli train made by Americans crashed and killed a bunch of people. And we're putting up flowers. We're coming by, some guys kicking out beer cans. He doesn't want the beer cans to get too close to the candles. There was another guy I just saw right before we started this video who was saying to his friend, c'est pas bon. Oui, c'est pas bon. Oui, it's not good. It's time for irrational hatred. It's time for vehement patriotism. It's time for France and the entire Western world to be nationalistic. When we had World War II, we put Germans and Japanese in internment camps. Mickey Mouse was fighting the Nazis. Superman comics were fighting the Nazis. Everyone was on the same page. Today, we keep talking about how it's not all Nazis, and some Germans are sweet people. That is so far to the left that it's actually thwarting ISIS in a weird and bizarre way, because they want us to get mad. It's like the war's already been won by Islam. So, I would like to say my experience over the past few days in Paris has been profoundly depressing. There is no fight left in this city. There is no fight left in these people. The fact that they see Marine Le Pen and people like La Génération Identitaire, the fact that they see those as radicals shows how bad things are. I thank the Lord that the working class will be electing a far-right president next, because this city needs a slap in the face, and murdering them isn't helping.
What year was that?
That was 10 years ago, man. 2015.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. What can wake them up? Marshmallow Man? Le Marshmallow Man. Le Marshmallow Merde.
Yeah.
Le Marshmallow.
That
Crème
whole
the crème brulee man.
dude, I'm telling you, that whole rant
Yeah.
came from "Don't get it twisted."
I know. Maybe the crème brulee man will wake everybody up. Let's see what happens.
If there was like a poster child for stupid white liberal bitch,
Yeah.
she would
I'll
have to
find
be.
her. I'll
She
find her.
would have to be it.
Yeah. Astounding. Astounding.
The worst category of sentient life in the universe is the white liberal.
Like I
woman.
said, we're graduating. I don't know. Consciousness
No,
graduating.
no. I mean, no. We're going to be forced to. I'm saying.
Yeah,
like,
I know. It's just. Yeah.
Okay. All right.
All right, ladies and gentlemen. We've examined the idiocracy of man, and now we will bid you adieu until next week.
Adieu.
Lila 12.
It's funny. I was just like yesterday. I was listening to like just exclusively French songs from the '80s.
Oh my God, yeah.
All right, guys. I'm
Big
sorry.
mistake, Frank.
No. I enjoy
I'm
it.
kidding. I'm kidding.
I enjoy it.
All right.
All right,
Lovely.
guys.
Peace.
Peace.